All right, here we are. Hey, what's up, everybody? I need something more flashy for the stream. It looks so missing without the donation goal. Um, we need something more flashy for the background. I don't know. It's missing something. Mr. Slow just donated tier one sub to not Pabu. Um, so Whoa, thank you. Astrobate's here. Mr. Slow is here. Not Pabu is now a subscriber. Geller said he isn't finished yet. I got your message. I see. I always respond. I always say thank you because I want you guys to know that I know that you know that I know that you know that you sent me your game. Uh, um. All right. So Mr. Slow didn't make it for Tuesday tournament day. I don't think he's that into 3+2, but that was fun, huh? Little 3+2. Anyway, we're back for my second stream since I came back. Thanks for the gift stuff from Mr. Slow, who also subscribed, by the way. Thanks, Mr. Slow, for all your support, and everyone, for all your support, for allowing me to go to the World Senior. Fortunately, I lost in the last round, sort of stupidly, but I never really had any winning chances in my last round game, which is really what I needed to do. Anyway, we could take a look at a game that I played, maybe, if we don't have that many games tonight. Because a lot of people didn't send me games. Because I haven't been streaming, for the last 2 weeks. People kind of forget it. They forget about me. I never existed. Where do you send games? Send them to Sparkle Horse on eChess. I've got Asterbate, Mr. Geller, Nefedov, and then I put a couple games. One is mine. What did I do? I put one of my game. I put a couple games from the World Cup. Although we don't have to go over any of these games. The main purpose of the stream is to go over games from you guys, not games from me. But anyway, if we need content, I've added those other games from the World Cup in. So what's up? We'll get started with the usual order of things. Asterbate, what watch streak reached? Asterbate is on a 5-stream streak. No, I mean, the last round loss for me, I know it doesn't hurt that much because a draw only meant rating points and money, Did you know that if I won my last round game, I would get a GM norm? But you know what's not cool? What's not cool about that is that nobody told me that. It's really cool that you only find out about that after the fact. There's some rule that I wasn't even aware of that if I get a medal, second or third, instead of getting the GM title, I get the GM, I get a GM norm. Well, it would have been nice to know that, but if I had won the last round, I would have gotten the bronze medal, but that wasn't assured either. It was actually very lucky that even a win would get me a bronze medal because my tie breaks were so bad that in order for that to even be possible, the other second and third boards had to. It's like betting on like a horse race or something where you got a trifecta. In every horse race, you have to get right, or you have to get them in perfect order. So I can't control the second and third board. It was lucky for me that they even went the way they did. But for my opponent, it wasn't good. Mikuleski couldn't give me a draw because this lucky guy on board 2 who was like really didn't play very well. I thought the whole tournament was lost again. He was totally lost against Motwani and Drew. Motwani had some kind of like stomach problems. He seemed like he was sick or something. He had to go to the bathroom on his time, and he had to ask the arbiter if he could leave the board on his time because he has a medical condition. And this is the only reason that lucky guy finished second, But anyway, it's just funny that I would have gotten a GM Norm. I had no idea, you know. I should have gotten informed. The organizers are really bad. The organizers, this company that organizes this particular one and the one in Assisi are the same. They do a lot of other tournaments. It's sort of like a for-profit chess organizing company, and you know they didn't like really care about informing us about how we're going to get our prizes. They didn't care about, you know, they don't have good communication with the players. But anyway, you know, best I could get was third place. All right. But anyway, moving onward and upward, Not Pabu has sent me a game. All right. Not Pabu, do I know you? Are you new? Thanksgiving Open games. All right. Do I know you? Let's see. Copy. Continue from here. Copy. 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 Copy PGN? No, it's Chapter PGN. Shit. I always click the wrong thing. Chapter PGN. All right. Blip, 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 blip. Whoa. What am I doing? Retarded. Okay. Anyway, yeah. I know it's heartbreaking that I lost, but I had no winning chances. That's the scary thing. Even after Michalewski made like 3 inaccuracies, he never ever was worse. It was a disaster pairing. I was black against the most solid player in the tournament who was undefeated. And he has such a safe style with white. You know, you couldn't get a worse pairing. I know, I didn't want to go crazy. Maybe I should have gone crazy. Alright. So, that game we'll put in here. Masturbate is first. Let's take a look. Alright, Masturbate. This is the wrong game. Oh no, I put your wrong game in. Damn, Masturbate, why did I do that? This is not the game. What? Wait, what? Wait, they're both 7-move games? Where's the rest of that game? No, this is the wrong game. I put the wrong game. Sorry. Alright, view on Lichess. Get PGN. View on Lichess. Copy. Tatiana versus Masturbate. Where did it go? Alright, Masturbate. I managed to put the wrong game in there, but we're correct now. You played in the Simon once before. I remember your name. Okay. So, yeah, well, I'm not here to talk about my tournament. You know, whatever. I know you guys are interested and stuff, but... Alright, Tatiana versus Masturbate. Let's take a look. Flipped. Hello. Alright. So you're black. White plays knight f3. White is 1500. Motwani played really well. I mean, I felt really bad. The dude was just winning in a knight in game, and he blew it after I left. But he was playing. You know, the dude he played. I can't stand that guy. He was disgusting. Disgusting guy. Knight f3, c5. Not Motwani, his opponent. Anyway, c3. C3, D5. So Osprey tries for a Sicilian or a symmetrical English and his opponent plays C3. That's an annoying move. So I think here you could go with a couple options. You can play Knight F6 or G6. If you play G6 here, Asterbate, you could give him the opportunity to transpose back to a Sicilian with E4. If you play Knight F6, you cut out E4. You practically force him to play D4. And then, so those are the 2 moves I would play if I were you. Nothing else really makes sense. You know, for you, D5 doesn't make sense. This is like I was just talking about this with someone else. You're learning to play more D4 games, but I still think your opening repertoire is better. You're better off playing Knight F6 here, hyper-modern. You're better off playing G6, hyper-modern. With D5, you're going to more of a classical queen pawn. You're going to be playing the Slav with white. This isn't really your strong point. You're playing queen pawn, a straight-up queen pawn game, a tempo down. Not a structure you're very experienced with. So I disagree with this decision to play D5. It's like maybe the best move for black, but not for you. Now, See, you don't know the Slav with white, so how the heck are you supposed to play? You play c4, immediately you make a mistake because you're not familiar with the structure. So a tempo down. E6 is the safest move. Exchanging pawns is gross, but it's playable. It's an exchange Slav. Okay, those are the safest moves. Exchange or play e6. Also, knight f6. You can sacrifice the pawn. Nothing wrong with knight f6. If they take this, it's hard for them to hang on to that pawn. They can try. Let's say like b4. We were talking about this earlier today. You attack the base of the pawn chain. You want to bring down an old building. You want to put the explosive at the base, right? Not the top. I'm not trying to give any ideas to Oklahoma City bomber or anything, but we're talking about detonating a structure. After d takes c5, e6, b4, you can attack the head of the pawn chain or you can attack the base of the pawn chain. You should always aim to attack the base of the pawn chain with a5. Okay, anyway, this doesn't happen, right? Asterbate makes a very dubious move now. It looks like... Bro, this is like extreme... I don't know what I want to say. Who was playing Steinitz in the first World Championship match? Wow, I'm losing my mind. A Zukertort. You're playing like Zukertort. Zukertort after smoking crack or something. This is really exaggerated Zukertort. Very dubious move. Because you're a tempo behind. And now you take pressure off the center. And he can pound you with e4. So now it's his choice to attack, the head of your pawn chain or closer to the base with e4 or c4. e4 is killing black some way. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that both of these moves are okay, but e4 is more, it's more direct, closer to the base. You cut it off at the base. So c4 is a really bad move. So Asterbate doesn't know what he's doing. Now white plays h3. It looks like he's trying to play the London. This move's a little too slow. I mean, you can obviously play bishop f4 and turn it into a London system with white. But I think white rather should be addressing the situation rather than just playing random moves. h3 is inappropriate here. h3 is too slow. If you play too many moves like h3, Asterbate c4 is going to suddenly become like, I mean, why don't you go here? What's the worst move that you could play here? I don't know, like a3? Making it making it an a6 Slav? Probably not the worst move, but let's play like, h3. Yeah, queen b3 is pretty bad. But he doesn't understand, the structure, so he's just playing the London. Why do you need to play h3 here? There's no knight h5. So now knight c6. Again, I recommend developing your king side. And also this square looks good. So why not knight f6? You want to stop freaking e4. You got checked because of kicking back. Oh, you got blocked? Oh, I could have allowed it. Sorry. No, it asked me. Black Lives Matter. It asked me, but I'm sorry, Mr. Slow, I didn't respond. You didn't actually get blocked. You were in the queue to be approved. Asterbate, you should develop the king side and stop e4. See, this move doesn't help. You're only going to make, e4 great again. So I like knight f6 better. All right, whatever. Knight c6, he has e4, but it doesn't make sense with h3. So he plays too slow. Now, I think the thing to do here would be like a symmetrical, maybe symmetrical London. I still like knight f6 though. I still think this is the best move, probably. g6 is okay. But I mean, honestly, like, why are you so inclined to fianchetto your bishop into that pawn chain? G6 isn't terrible. You know, you're going to develop. Maybe you have ideas like knight h6, knight f5 or something, but I think this is normal. You know, if bishop f5, maybe white can still break you with b3. This pawn, I don't think it's an issue though. How do you defend your structure? Can you go here, allow a4, play a6? I mean, maybe you can get away with this at some point. You know, I don't know. All right, so g6 is slow, e3, bishop g7, and then this is a really weird move. Don't see any reason to put the knight on a3. It should go here. He's threatening e4. Maybe, right? Why here? And that actually might be necessary. Let's see, a6, knight b5. I think a6 is actually necessary. You know, alternatively, you could have played bishop f5, and if knight b5, you play rook c8. I think this is a more constructive way to handle the situation, let's say, than a6. Bishop b2. Okay, white's playing very lamely. So knight f6, bishop h2, too afraid. And now I don't know about what you did here. Clearly, we're okay. I mean, you do block your b pawn, which seems like it would be natural to not do. Because at this point, you know, you might actually be playing b5, b4 yourself. So this artificial attack at b2, she can play queen c1. I mean, it's not that big a deal. And ultimately, what are you going to do with your queen? No, I mean, this queen c1 is okay. It'll do the job. The others are bad, right? Yeah, I agree. I mean, white could play b3, but it doesn't look good. Yeah, I think he has to play, or she has to play queen c1. It's hard to protect, but not impossible. And then ultimately we end up blocking our b pawn. Queen b6 is okay, but I don't want to block the b pawn necessarily. So there's no reason really to play it. I guess it does paralyze white a bit. This is a mistake, and now you don't go bishop f5. But I think you should. And if bishop f5, white has to play knight c2. The question is, what do we have now? Maybe queen a5 attacking the a2 pawn? Something like that. So I'm surprised you didn't play bishop f5. You castled, and then white played b4. And white has a very weak pawn on c3. The base of their pawn chain is now at c3. So possible sacrifices. Knight e4. Attacking this guy. Attacking this guy. Astrobate again didn't play bishop f5. It looks like a very logical move. I mean, honestly, you're very close to winning material. If white plays rook c1, you have knight takes b4 immediately. Pawn takes b4, queen takes b4, check, and then takes on a3. So bishop f5, I guess they're going to go knight c2. All right, it's true. But if knight e4, let's say bishop f5, rook c1. No, bishop f5, knight c2. Not so easy to make progress. White can play like a4. So no, you have this now. I take it back. Oh my God, white is lost. It's like Astrobate didn't see bishop f5 because you're not familiar with playing this type of London type of thing. He played bishop d7. This is also not bad, but much more passive and vulnerable to being attacked by knight e5. Now white played b5. This is dangerous for white. I think more dangerous for white than for black. Look at these pawns, man. This looks exactly like a Larson game I analyzed yesterday. The pawns, those pawns are worse than, This is a typical example of the cure is worse than the disease. White plays b5. Doesn't really have any threats. And all they do is make it easier for you to attack their pawns at a2 and c3. Yeah, so this is a disaster. I don't know where to put the knight. You know, you got to consider leaving this square open for your queen. So a7 isn't great, but it looks like it's okay. Knight e5, and now you just took the pawn. Yep. And now knight takes allows a4, so you had to play pawn takes. And white finds a4, which is like the only move. But they're still in trouble. It looks like you should just go queen a5. Queen a5, unpinning, pawn takes pawn, knight takes, and you're golden. You're winning. So Astrobate, did you make another mistake? Look at the time. Do you guys know the number one mistake that people are making in the you guys want to take any guess? From what I've seen, the number one mistake people are making in the Grand Prix, in the first rounds of the Grand Prix, I've seen some very strange time use. Yeah, like, there was this one game I put in here. People are using like 30 minutes on one move. That's not a good idea. It's not a good idea to use like a third of your time in a 40 moves and 90 minutes time control. They're using 30 minutes on one move. Mr. Coffee, master of time management. You can't do that. I mean, so this player has used, Astrobate's the opposite. His opponent has used 6 minutes. That's a normal amount of time, by the way. White's just not a strong player. You know, they haven't played badly with the time. They're just not a strong enough player. But Astrobate's time management, look, he's used 2 minutes for 15 moves. But he's missing things. He misses a huge fork here. What's going on with knight d7? You've only used 2 minutes. You have tons of time, and you're going to allow this fork with knight d7. Are you sure about that? Maybe it's good. All right, let's see. So if knight d7, queen a5, yeah, actually, it's okay. All right, never mind. Never mind. Astrobate, he's a monster. Queen c2. Oh, you took. I don't know. Yeah, it's a strong knight. It's a strong knight. I don't mind you taking here. Okay, the point is to get c3. That's fine. These are, you know, substitute dark squared bishop. Queen a5, excellent. And now rook b4. So he just took the pawn. Damn. You have a really neat move here. You guys see it? Always attack the base of the pawn chain. How do we attack the base of the pawn chain? Yeah, knight takes c3. Look at that. Ta-da! This is so strong. Yeah, knight takes c3 and knight c6. Oh. Devastating. Devastating. It's just devastating. Game over, man. I don't know what he would do. Like, rook takes c4 and just lose a rook back. You're up. Now you're up the exchange in 2 pawns. Up the exchange in a pawn. It's crushing. Jeez. So Astrobate, you did b takes a. This is routine. A little routine, but good enough. Actually, it's a little unclear because he does get to take on a4, right? He doesn't take, though. It looks like he has to take on a4. It's still bad for white. And now it's totally over. Wow. Oh, this is sick. Look at those knights. Oh no. He loses the whole rook. And then a bishop too. Oh my god, and you didn't take it. Now look at this. 26 minutes to 18 and he doesn't play knight takes d5. Oh, I didn't know my pawn was defended. Or he just wanted to give them a chance. Yeah, this is just not competitive. You gotta love this bishop on h2. That's the London. Rook takes f2 check. Excuse me? That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. How does it work, though? Oh, you're just gonna... I don't know. You're gonna just be up the exchange? Oh, you win the queen. Okay, I'm a little sleepy. How does it work? That's crazy. You just win a queen. How did the game last 9 more moves? That's crazy. Okay. Yeah, this was... over. Okay, good game, Masturbate. Overall, good. But this is, very bad. This is very bad. This is, like... too early. You know, you can't do that. That's bad. Alright, next. Delete chapter. Okay. Geller versus Naroditsky. I mean, Nikolaevsky. Game over, man. Alien 2 reference. I don't think that was... I think that's a little older. I know, right? That's a great one. Game over, man. You know, it's funny. I was watching Alien Earth with my son, and it seems like they chose a couple of... they chose, like, the black character to be the security officer. There's a black character who looks a lot like the original, you know, chief of operations or whatever from the original Alien. I don't remember his name. You know, that iconic character who says that. Isn't he the one who said game over, man? It's funny, though, that they choose a character. It's like, are they trying to allude to him? Is it like a relative, or is it the same guy? No. Alright, anyway, little Alien. It looks pretty good, though. I mean, I'm surprised by how good Alien Earth is. Very, very high level of production. So, Nikolaevsky, this is Geller Nikolaevsky. Let me get info on it. 1962 Ukrainian Team Championship. I'm surprised they even had a Ukrainian Team Championship back then. Oh, the white guy? Is that Bill Paxton? The other guy? His partner? Which one is Hicks? Is he the black guy or the white guy? Game over, man. It's the black guy, right? Am I crazy? Wait, the guy who talks too much. The other guy. Oh no, I'm thinking of... Oh no, I'm thinking of the other movie. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, of course. Lieutenant Hicks, the Marines, Space Marines guy from the other movie. Oh, I'm thinking of the wrong movie. Alright. So, E4, C5, Knight F3, Knight C6, D4. Man, I'll tell you, Darcy Lima played this against me. Darcy Lima played he played C5, and when I played E4, he played Knight C6. I was, like, freaking out. You know, I went here... He took, and then he played Knight F6. Says, what are you doing? He was supposed to play the Accelerated Dragon. Dude. I was totally unprepared to play the white side of a classical Sicilian. That was a disaster. Alonso Zapata's like, why do you play, like, not why don't you play the Yugoslav attack? I don't want to play the Yugoslav attack if I'm not prepared to play. I was terrified the guy, speaking of which, I was terrified that Darcy Lima was going to play the Sveshnikov. I don't know what Sicilians he plays. You know, I didn't prepare for whatever Sicilian he played in 1985. It's like, come on, man. I don't know. He wasn't supposed to do that. He didn't have any classical Sicilians recently. Is there space for another game? Bill is back. Wow. For you, we'll make an exception. Bill, welcome back. Yeah, anyway, so... Oh man, I'm kind of lucky, you know, that it went the way it did because it could have been anything. I'm not going to play the rouser, you know. I had to play bishop e3, bishop g5. Okay, rouser. You know, Geller also played. We have a lot of bishop e2. I mean, Fischer loved to play bishop c4. Did Geller ever play the Sozin, Mr. Slow? Probably he did at some point, but you know, bishop e2, bishop g5. So, wow, queen b6. I had never seen an example this old of this. This is interesting. I never use this exact move order too much with black, but I usually play queen b6. I move later. Sometimes I move 4. I don't know if I've ever played this move order specifically. Nothing wrong with it though. I mean, maybe there is something wrong with it, but if there is, it's very hard to prove it's bad. You're not developing your pieces, you're bringing your queen out early. You know, that's the issue with queen b6. There's also the Sicilian. So Bill, feel free to send me a game. Knight b3. And it's not the only move, I guess. So there is a scary move, bishop e3. But it looks like it's okay. So queen takes b2 is super dangerous. Didn't I have this once against somebody? Guys, can we see who I had this against? Werenfeld, 2016. 1100. Wow, I played knight g4 here. That move's not hitting the Stockfish top 5. I have a bad feeling about that. Whoa, Werenfeld. So it loses to knight d5. Oh my god. So knight g4 loses to knight d5. Weird, I thought I had another game. But as I said, I don't normally play this move order. It must have been a slightly different position. So queen b6. Bishop b3 is dangerous. Black can play a6 there. And apparently black's okay. That's a hard move to find. You would just leave your queen in the diagonal of the bishop, not take the pawn on b2, and weaken the b6 square. Very counterintuitive. So Bill, Mr. Bill. Mr. Bill. Sicilian Defense Grand Prix attack, League Chess. Alright. 2,000 leagues. Let's see. Copy. My studies. My buddy. Alright, let's see. How do I add a chapter? Paste. Oh no. I got your weird comments in there. That's bad. That's gonna mess up the PGN going in. Alright, that works. Alright. What? Oof. So we're still on Geller. Game 2, bishop g5. No, I'm interested in this. This is going to transpose to a line that I play. This is the oldest example that I've seen of this. Ulf, or Ulf. This position I have played, and I lost to Udasin. I lost to a bunch of people. I lost to Antal. No, what's his name? Antal. I lost to Antal. I lost to Udasin. I lost to Konyu Janusz once. There's this a4 move. But is in this position a4? Not this move, like the next move. Queen d2, bishop e7, a4? No, it's only against a6 that a4 is good. a6, a4. So it's better for black to play bishop e7 than a6. This is the best. This I had with Konyu Janusz and a bunch of other people, but it's actually not so bad for black. After queenside castles, now you can play a6. Alright, this is a completely different direction. White plays bishop e2. This is what Udazin did. Now I want to say I lied, probably, because Udazin probably played queen e2 first, and later bishop e2. But he was quoting, after the game, he was quoting, it was Botvinnik Kires, or Kires Botvinnik. Kires Botvinnik? You know what I'm talking about, Mr. Slow? There was a famous game, Kires Botvinnik. But I'm thinking that Leonid played queen d2 against me first. And then I probably did something like a6, and then he like took on f6 and played like bishop e2. Something like that. Maybe not even that move order. Maybe castles first, bishop e7, f4, something like here, bishop e2. But I don't know. The pawns got doubled on f6. Anyway, you guys don't care. Bishop e2. So black can play. Black doesn't have to play bishop e7. You can play a6 now. And if a6 now, what about a4? The Antal variation. There's another Antal. That's crazy. What are the chances? Sebastian Antal. But I don't think this was the exact position I had. You know, I tried to do like knight a5. I remember I had a banter game against some strong woman player too. I don't remember who it was. I have these weird memories that I can't. Something on some chess site, I don't even remember what it was. So a4. Anyway, bishop e7 is more solid. White castle kingside. Black castle's kingside now. Yeah, I think a6 is more flexible for black. Why commit? Are we still here? Is anybody still here? Welcome back, guys. Thanks for the hype train. Wow, so a4 is the main move now. After a6, it makes sense. Yeah, it highlights the weakness of b6. Castles is best. What I don't get now is Geller's decision to take on f6. It seems like a mistake. With black's so materialistic, though. Do we really seriously? I mean, we can't sacrifice this pawn. Ornstein. Jeez, it's good. Unbelievable. Oh my god. You can give up the pawn. And Ornstein lost to a 2200. Queen takes, rook d8, best move. Yeah, queen c5. They try to trade queens. That's stupid. He lost this game. Queen takes c5, knight takes c5. b6, best move. Oh my god. Knight d3. No way. Holy shit. Knight d4, the guy played perfectly. This guy got the GM title, like, very late in life. You guys know about that? Axel Ornstein. Some older, I don't know, Norwegian guy who'd been in IM, like, all his life. He gets the GM title at, like, 50, 60. A few years ago. Or, well, it's been a while, probably. Dude played perfect game. Holy shit. And he lost. e5, bishop e7, black is better. Rook a c1, bishop a6, the guy played like a computer. Knight f4, he's like losing. White's losing. Knight takes e2 check. Knight f takes e2. Rook d2. How does white win this game? Oh my god. Rook fe1, bishop c5, perfect game by black. a3, rook c8, every single move engine. g3. And now he went and played g5. Why would he do that? Still doesn't look like a bad move. Thorbjorn Broman goes on to win this position, minus 1.4 for white. And that's the only game where this has been played. Black has full compensation. Because look at the dark squares. You know? I mean, look at the position. You have to recognize how serious this is. This isn't just a pawn. White has very poor control of the dark squares in the position. I mean, I guess White's thinking is like, well, you know, maybe Black will take here. Okay, that's true. That's not such a big deal. Black could probably, like, draw if he takes on c3. The question is rook d8. You know, where else can White go? Different queen move? Like queen g3 or something? Like, we don't know what Geller was thinking here. We don't know what he would have done. I mean, maybe queen g3. But I mean, if you play bishop takes f6, you kind of have to take the pawn. It's a big mistake by White to take on f6. So, computer has an interesting novelty, queen d3. I don't like bishop takes f6. This is a very bad move by Geller, but he's very lucky that Black played g takes, being materialistic. But notice that 1, 2, 3, 4 people, and Ilya Smirin in 1994 even won a game against Ivanchuk with g takes f. So only one player played bishop takes f6 and they lost, Ornstein. But it is the correct move. So this allows the typical kind of bishop h5 thing, you know. And I think that a lot of people with Black are going into this because they recognize it from other variations. Like, this structure is very common in the Richter-Rauser. There are other e6 variations where this happens all the time. And so that's why, hey, Uber driver, what's up? That's why they're like, well, I know we could do, this is okay, right? So we play this because it's like the safe way we know. Sacrificing a pawn is like, oh no. This is like, but it's not safe because your kingside is messed up. You know, now White has compensation for giving up. White has compensation for giving up the exchange of the bishop for knight. You know, in the old days, they used to call that the minor exchange. Bishop for knight is minor exchange. It's an exchange. It's just a mini exchange. No one uses that terminology. It's like archaic terminology. Ask, I don't know, you know, some 16-year-old grandmaster what the minor exchange is. They won't have the fucking clue what you're talking about. That's what chess has become. They only know how to play bullet chess. You know what's pathetic? Like getting knocked out of the Grand Prix and playing 300 bullet games as soon as you get knocked out. Alright, g takes f, bishop h5. That's annoying, you know, so you keep pressure on f7, now White has compensation. And also notice the other thing, well, this bishop, great, you know, it's very, very restricted. I know from playing the Black side of the Richter-Rauser all my life, well, half my life, right? So we can't really exploit those dark squares too well. What typically happens in these type of structures is that Black sometimes will do some kind of lever, like a pawn sack with f5. It actually works better if you're castled queenside. King h8, and I had some game with Larry Christensen like this. Well, a lot of games really in blitz against people trying to get in there. So I think White wants to play maybe g3 type structure, putting the pawns on dark squares, and then we play g3, although it's not necessary. Maybe just f4, f5. Here we have two possibilities with those pawns. Black is really having a hard time generating any counterplay. I have seen some examples of some pretty abstract stuff, like knight d8, for example. I've seen some people play some very creative defensive games with Black. If we play, for example, knight d8, we can, we can defend f7 and try to get our rook over to the g file without dropping that pawn. But the problem is like, okay, bishop on d7 is unprotected, so this can kill black. If you leave your bishop unprotected, you allow this e5 shot. There are a lot of weird possibilities. Like, for example, this. Tactics based on that bishop being loose, maybe. So if black goes back with knight d8, his pieces, or his position becomes kind of, you know, uncoordinated. So it's not easy to defend here. We see there's 2 games with knight a5. I mean, what other moves is black supposed to consider? Bishop e8 is extremely passive, right? Well, also in the old text, they thought after king h8, rook g8 would be fine. Yeah, but that's the problem. You can't get there because of the pawn on f7 being loose. So that's why I need to play this move. Bishop e8, I guess, is better, right? Better than knight d8. Now I can enable this. Typical Rouser plan f5. Let's say rook g8. How can white increase the pressure on the white squares? I mean, I could just exchange and trade this off, but I'm afraid it's not really enough. I have no way to attack this pawn. Black might be okay here, ultimately, you know. But he doesn't really like getting his bishop pair traded off. Alright, so black played a5. I don't really like a5. You know, I don't know. This is kind of a weird move. You're weakening the b5 square. It's not sure what you're getting in return. It looks very inflexible. Darcy Lima. I mean, white has to play a4. But the difference is this is permanent and this is not, because if you go in b4, I can always play c3 later. See, black doesn't have c6. If I get a permanent outpost on b5, it's white squares versus dark squares. But that's another white square for white. But white can play c3 and take away the dark squares on d4 and b4. So a5 is like black was desperate for a plan. Here, very decentralized. Typical move, right? Pressuring c2, maybe setting up bishop c6, but it feels wrong. You know, it's not enough for black. So I like white now. You have lift. He does it 2 moves later. Yeah, Geller's very principled, though. You know, he's a very, very principled player. Queen d2. What's black going to do? Routine rook c8? He doesn't. Interesting. So I was expecting here rook c8, pressuring the c file. Maybe you have rook c8, rook c4. But imagine if white comes back. You know, bishop e2, boing, boing. That bishop can pop back to e2 over to b5. Just say, you know, your rook is on c4, bishop e2. It's a big problem. You don't have access to c5 because of the knight on b3. So this is the natural move for black, but he doesn't play it. Because, like, where are you going to put it? You know, you're going to put it there? You're going to put it there? No. You're going to put it there and just get attacked by bishop e2. There's no good square for the rook. So black ends up playing rook d8, defending the bishop. And he's hoping to maybe play d5. And it looks like... I mean, is d5 a threat? Let me just ask a question. Let's say Geller plays routine move. Can black play d5? The idea would be takes bishop c6. Now we have bishop f3. I can't sack the queen. Knight d5. Knight d5. Bishop d5. But maybe white can snap a pawn with, like, queen takes a5. Something like this, let's say. Queen a5, knight a5, bishop f3. Pawn takes f3. We go into an endgame where white is up a pawn, although it has weird structure. Just for example, white is better. But it's interesting. Interesting. That's the kind of struggle that's going on here. So Geller, he can't really prevent this d5 unless he goes to like bishop f3, which would be kind of inconsistent. But if he's not preventing d5, what's his idea? Maybe he'll play e5 in response to d5. I'm worried about d5. This is a serious threat. So rook f3, and black does it. d5, of course. Of course. This is the plan. I mean, it's clear when he played rook d8, he was going to play d5. So what's white's idea? To do rook d3? I don't look ahead. I don't like to look ahead at the game score. I want to analyze this for myself. He admitted that black is equal now. Admitted. Darcy Lima always thinks he's better every time. It was exaggerated. That's the problem. Some people are too optimistic. It's good to be optimistic, but you have to be careful not to be too optimistic. So Geller didn't admit that his opponent is slightly better. He said he was equal. Is black better here? I'm a little concerned about like what white's supposed to do now. I don't really see a good move for white. Is this truly equal? Oh, he had to do this. Do you know how fast I'm exchanging that queen? Damn. This is similar to what happened in the analysis variation. Similar but not the same. A5 falls. The other thing that white could do would be like play bishop f3, but I think that's too drawish. Soviet equal means black is better. Well, in the Sicilian, normally if your attack doesn't work, you're worse. You've like extended more than black. But to see that a5 move, it's almost like black overextended himself with a5. Well, I guess evaluation is very hard to say. That's a pawn. That's an important pawn. Now we have 3-on-1. So what's his plan? Bishop b4? He doesn't play it. What about bishop b4? Do we go for like opposite color bishop? Try to draw? If I play bishop b4, what is white going to do? c4? Bishop takes a5, pawn takes pawn. That doesn't look great. So he has to play knight b3. Then we have to take and try to draw this opposite color bishop position. Pawn down for black. It's a little tricky because there's 3 against 1 on the queen side. They're kind of stupid looking pawns, but I'm not sure how easy it is to maintain the blockade. Black instead. Why am I getting a challenge? Black instead played bishop c5 right away. Is this helping us or hurting us? He wanted to go here, maybe? Oh no, he wanted to do this. Well, it's not that different from what we just looked at, ultimately. But I wonder. I mean, does black have another option? Or he has to opposite bishops. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what I don't like. This pawn going to b4. What? Oh no. Oh no. You like bishop c5. Well, speaking of blockades, this is a problem. This looks like a game I would lose, man. I lost to Konyu Janusz, a totally drawn Obscular Bishop endgame in the same variation. It's bringing back like horrible memories. I was in Time Pressure. I did this typical me, where I used up all my time and I had to make like 7 moves to reach the time control and blew a like totally drawn position. Same thing, opposite bishops and rooks. Now a5. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know about counterplay. I mean, white just has a queenside majority. All it takes is one pawn. I mean, the bishop's going to f3, and that controls the queening square. There's too many pawns on the queen side. We need a lock on that blockade. So I don't know. You know, I feel like this is a critical moment. Black has to get a sure thing on the queen side. And what sure thing is there here? Maybe there's something else, you know? Thing is, like, c4. Is c4 really a big threat, though? Like, say you play f5. Okay, I know what the problem is. The problem is bishop f3. Alright. We can't allow bishop f3. Then again, you can't prevent it, can you? But you can play bishop e4. If I play bishop e4, you have to go there. And now the question is this better or worse than what happened in the game? But let's just say we take, right? And then, all right. Black's a pawn down, tied down to f7. a5 is still an idea. If I turn on the engine, the game is a torture type of valuation. Plus 0.3. Rook d3. G3, rook takes b3, and white is still better by 0.3. Yeah, it's very difficult to play this endgame. But I don't like what happened. You know, I could see myself losing the same game. This is very similar. Rook d1. Now, rook on the 7th. Black loses f7 or b6. It's one of those games where you have to play like perfectly. You have to play perfectly to draw. So here Nikolaevsky plays e5. That's a passed pawn. That's a passed pawn, and he controls the queening square at e1. But is it going to get through those white squares? So white has good control of e2, a very strong blockade at e2. So I'm not sure. But what can black do about rook d7? Well, I mean, f5, rook d7, king g7. And black is going to get tortured here. But I'm not sure if it's lost. It looks like it's lost. Oh yeah, rook down. Wow. Rook takes b2. Rook takes f7. Check. Rook takes f7. No. Well, you have to take with the bishop. Oh my god. Yeah, this is. I could so lose this. You know, obscular bishops are so hard with rooks on the board. It's so hard. He never equalized. Not quite. Now e takes f4, but I mean. Okay, I guess it's reasonable. He gives up on the passed pawn, tries to smash white's structure. Bishop takes f7. I saw this game before. Rook e3. Is this lost? Rook c7. Oh man. And that's a mate on h7. f3 threatening mate. A mate of our own. And then h4. A league of your own. So check. Check. Dude, doesn't black have, like, check? Why doesn't he have, like, check and rook takes f7? Check here. You can't play rook takes f7. Oh no, because oh no. c8 is mate. Oh no. Oh no. Bishop e7. Nothing there. This is terrible. Check, king h3. It's a very technical endgame. Bishop d5. That's a nice piece. Threatening mate. Black defends. That's not too awkward. Man, Mr. So, you're bringing back bad memories for me. I mean, this... Are you trying to tell me something with this game? This is reminding me of my Michalewski endgame. Awkward piece on h5. Ugh. Bishop takes f3, rook h6. Dude, this is lost. 3 isolated pawns. Nothing's gonna save him here. Yeah. No, I've seen this game in the book. Yeah, very, very, very nice end game. It's coincidence. Good game. Yeah, safe, very safe victory for White. Could have done it myself. Bisonov for the Maestro, tip $20. Sorry guys, we don't have a goal at the moment. I will though, you know, I will take suggestions. I was looking at like senior tournaments, but there's nothing especially good. There's no good tournaments in Hungary. I would take suggestions for maybe an event in the spring, or you know, I saw the Budapest Spring Festival is in February. Talk about stupid ideas, right? I just want to say that's dumb. The point of the Budapest Spring Festival is like there's a cultural event like over a week or two, usually in the spring in Budapest. They used to have it at the same time. But having a Budapest Spring Festival tournament in February, sorry, that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Oh, I think I want to go to Budapest in February. Yeah. So we don't have any good tournaments here. If anyone has any ideas, I know he said no coincidence. But thanks again to Bisonov. If anyone has any suggestions for they know of a good tournament that's not like freezing, say, somewhere warm, let me know. You know, for something like January, February, March, I'm all ears. I want a good tournament where there's a good time control. See, I got warmed up and I gained almost 10 rating points. How are the protests going? I don't know, man. The right wing just bought the biggest tabloid newspaper in Hungary. Important stuff. All right, next game. We got Nefedov up. Simon Smith. That's a very English name, isn't it? Simon Smith. Can you imagine how many English people there are in like the phone book with the name Simon Smith? It's like the number one name in England. All right. But there's only one Pavel Nefedov. Now, interestingly enough, there's some journalist named Nefedov, some Ukrainian journalist. All right, maybe a relative of Pavel's. Dangerous being a journalist today. E4. C6, D4, D5, knight C3, D6, D4, knight takes C4. Now, interesting factoid. One of our former viewers messaged me today to say he's going to a tournament and he wants to know what I would recommend on the black side of the classical Caro-Kann. Well, my honest opinion is like, I hate the Caro-Kann. I've given up playing the Caro-Kann for many reasons. But a lot of people play it. It's very, very popular. It's very popular. Heavily advertised. It's very, very commercial. It's a very commercial opening. I'm done with playing the Caro-Kann. It's really, like, I'm totally done. It has no meaning for me, you know. But if you're gonna play the Caro-Kann, you play knight f6, or you play bishop f5. Because I have played everything, and the others are really bad. I mean, g takes f Caro is terrible, and the knight d7 Caro is terrible. Kasparov lost on purpose. That's how bad knight d7 is against deep blue. Yeah, knight f6 is all the rage. But I've seen some pretty good games from white now. This is the current, popular variation. Knight takes f6 check. By the way, this stupid alien gambit or whatever, black has c5. It's very strong. This equalizes immediately. Don't. This is unsound for white. Of course, knight takes f7. But there's no need to play h6 here. If Navarra played it, it's good. So white has to take on f6, man. I mean, knight g3 is weak because of h5. I mean, even g6 is good there. You can play like knight. What are you gonna do? Alekhine gambit, knight c3 or something. We're desperate. You have to take, and black takes with the e pawn, and now c3, and now bishop d6, bishop d3, castles, and now we have a question. There was a game at the World Senior where someone played knight e2. Knight e2 is like the older sort of routine move, right? But queen c2 is all the rage. Attacking h7, it's well known. Black has a bunch of different moves. Check, okay. And now we have a legit choice or not? Bishop e3. Didn't Nefedov have this, am I doing the right game? Or did I put in the wrong game? Is Nefedov here? He just had a game in this variation. I think I'm doing the wrong game. Oh no. Hold on. Maybe I already did this game. Let me double check this. Nefedov said, latest over-the-board game, Wolverhampton District Chess League Division 2, Litchfield B. Hold on here. It's a wrong game. Okay. Litchfield B. Sorry. I knew that we already did that. Anyway. Well, that was a great discussion. But anyway. We had that already. Alright. Good thing I don't have full-on dementia quite yet. But anyway, good discussion. Here, add a new chapter. Good to review that, though. Alright. Yeah, actually, I should have remembered the name. That's why I'm talking about Simon Smith being a common name, because it's an every week analysis stream. It has been 3 weeks since I did an analysis stream, so I have that excuse. Yeah, okay. So you're black against Anthony Green, another very Anglo-Saxon name. Although Anthony is kind of, yeah, Anthony Miles. d4, d5, c4, Slav. Nefedov loves the Slav. And then knight c3, knight f6. Now, I just want to say that, of course, d takes c4 is a good move. But not everyone's cup of tea. Correct, Nefedov? Nothing wrong with knight f6. And now e3. Very passive. Knight f3 is much more dangerous. Whatever. And so now Nefedov plays e6. But I am honestly surprised. I didn't know that Nefedov played the semi-Slav. Or the Marin, but maybe you do. I mean, it's kind of semi-Slav, right? It's not an anti-Marin, it's not an anti-Bot, or never, it's not a Botvinnik variation, but it's sharp, can be sharp. I don't know, maybe you have played this against me, but I thought you played bishop f5. Have you played bishop f5? What else have you done against me? Angelo Young? No. I thought someone played queen b6. I never played this in a tournament game with white, though. Thinking of something else. Bishop f5. So bishop f5, c takes d5 is supposed to be like a little bit better for white. You can play g6. This is Schlechter Slav. But otherwise, you can do a6 or e6. You play bishop f5, 90% of cases. Yeah, but this case is specific, right? This is the Richard Palliser move order. This line is a little bit annoying. White does like a quick bishop d2. It's like a kind of good exchange variation. A relatively good exchange variation. I think you're justified in not playing that. I mean, e6 is probably a better move, but you got to allow the Marin now. You know, which is very sharp. This is sharp, so you have to be well prepared theoretically. I don't know what other options you have, you know. Didn't Tal play like bishop b4? I don't think that's a very good move here. Okay, knight on bd7, bishop d3, bishop d6. So Marin is d takes c. Bishop e7 is too passive. a6 is an a6 Slav. Your move is like a Kali system in reverse. You're playing the Kali system. There's nothing wrong with this, right? White has a very good score, though. Very good score in this line. Reverse Kali system. Kole. Kali. I love to sound like an American. Kali dog. Border Collie. So, e4 or castles. You have to take. You have to take. And now, the moment of truth. This feels like the Caro-Kann. Have you considered playing the Caro-Kann? A lot of people have that repertoire. Nefedov plays only the Slav. He doesn't play the Caro-Kann and he doesn't play the London with white. But that is the end of chess. Like, if you forced me to play that repertoire, where we're like Cyrus Lakdawala, and we play the Caro-Kann, London, and Slav, that's it. I'm done. I quit. You know, we'll just play tic-tac-toe for the rest of our lives. We play one structure, and that's chess? I don't think so. So Nefedov played knight f6, but I'm not convinced about this move. You know, I think... I mean, obviously you have to be careful of sealer sweepers, yeah. The Greek gift sacrifice. But the thing about knight f6, it always feels like you're giving up control of e5. I know that black does like f5 sometimes, but not right away. As a rejoinder. So you're supposed to castle, I thought. But this is also a move. I mean, I guess considerations come into whether you're you know, like trying to win or draw, or what your goal is specifically for this opponent. But I would think castles or e5. So knight f6 still, it's a main line. The main line. Look at the statistics though, it's terrible. You need to reconsider this move. Because, like, what's your game plan? Are you going to play, like, b6 and bishop b7? I mean, c5 right away? But it's kind of like suffering. It feels like suffering for black. So let's see what happened. Knight f6, bishop c2. And I'm expecting, like, black to play for c5. As he said, b6 is a move too. Because this is the Caro-Kann. Nefedov says he doesn't play the Caro-Kann, but he does. He's playing the Caro-Kann by default. Your Slav just became a Caro-Kann. It looks just like a Caro-Kann. Man, queen a5 check looks really weird. So what's your idea? You're going to trade pieces? You're going to trade all the pieces? It looks bad. Rubinstein would kill you. Rubinstein's killing you in this endgame, man. If you're not even gonna consider, you're not serious about like bishop b4, are you? Queen a5 check, bishop d2, bishop b4. Promise me you didn't do that. I would prefer to do like queen h5 Queen a5 check, bishop d2, queen h5. So it looks like b6 is the move that has the best score. c5. That's a normal move. But this, Gawain Jones playing white. Gennady Timoshenko, the old Timoshenko. And Swat has a game from 2000, and he drew against the 2290. Bishop d2, and he did this. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, I don't like this, Nefedov. I don't like this. Like, you know, it just doesn't seem good. You would never do this against me. Why are you doing stuff you wouldn't do against me, against some random dude? How are you going to beat some random dude here? I would say, like, queen h5 makes more sense. Although I don't like that either. I don't like queen a5 check. But after this, you're in a bad endgame. But I guess the point is, like, he can't take and play queen d2, though. So white has to calmly react here with a3. a3. Bishop d2. Queen takes d2 check. Queen takes d2. Queen takes d2 check. King takes. And white is a serious advantage, man. Wow, Korchnoi played this against Karpov and drew. Good luck with that. I'd like to see Korchnoi play this against Akiba Rubinstein. This is torture for black. Nefedov can get away with it against an 1800, but I don't know how you're going to win. I mean, you draw, but winning is out of the question. This is no way to play for a win against an 1800. The problem is Nefedov is, he needs to have more self-confidence. You got to beat these 1800s. A draw is not good enough. He did beat him somehow, but I don't know how. But this is no way to go about beating them. First off, I think you don't play knight f6. I mean, e5 simplifies a lot. So let's take a look at, like, castles. Castles, castles. And now what are you supposed to play? All the variations have a terrible score except for c5. Still, it's no way to play for a win. Like, you can't win in this variation. This game is like, this variation is a draw. This is tough. I don't know how you're supposed to play for a win here. I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what, you should play d takes c, you know. That's the best. Nefedov has to pull the trigger and go into mainline Marin. And maybe there you have some chances to play for a win somewhere. This variation looks very unpromising. So anyway, okay, check here, bishop here, and then castles. But this forces him to have his knight pulled back to d2. So that seems like a little bit of a concession. So this could get in here. But he's actually helping you play for a win by not trading queens. Like, I really don't see Nefedov winning after queen takes d2. But okay, white's trying to win, so he avoids trading queens. And black plays queen h5 and offers an annoying draw. That sucks. Yeah, that's enough to set him off right there. That probably caused white to lose the game. Black offered a draw. I'm tilted already. Nefedov offers annoying draws. Yeah. Yeah, it made me lose a game. If anybody's wondering why I lost in the third round. There's this guy, he makes a lot of draws, he offers draws all the time, and he plays like the sharpest variation in the world and then offers me a draw. After like 15 moves. I'm like, I've sacked a piece for 2 pawns. I have 2 connectors on like the 5th and 6th rank. And he offers me a draw. You know? That was really annoying. It was ridiculous. I was like, come on, man. Then I lost. So, queen takes h5 dubious. I don't know. How dubious can it be? Objectively, maybe white should avoid the exchange of queens, but there's no obvious suggestion here. I guess knight f3, right? You could play knight f3. Okay. So queen h5, still white's a tiny bit better. d6 square. No, should Nefedov consider king e7? Is that crazy? Or a good move? Then c5? We can't... You can't get him off of d6. See, now white starts to go what looks like might be like too far. Black's gonna get rook d8. What if he plays like c5? You just play rook d8. Well, rook d8 or knight f6 right away. And if knight d6, you just trade it off. Off for another draw. No, you have to consider king e7. So you have to consider king e7. If c5... But, you know, your king isn't necessarily safe either. It's dangerous, I agree. You have to consider it, right? Okay, castles. Actually, you know what? Maybe your best move is knight f6. Well, no, you're still going to have problems, aren't you? Because of check here, c5, and, you know... Well, actually, no, this might be okay. I think that white should avoid the exchange of knights, though, you know? He can always, like, keep being annoying. Try to avoid the exchange of knights. I mean, maybe you have some sort of trick, like b6 takes, bishop a6. It's possible that you have a trick. For example, you have to play very accurately. Queen h5, knight h5, castles. So castles, f4. I don't know, f4 seems like too much. Rook d8, rook d1. Maybe it's not bad, maybe f4 wasn't bad. Now black plays g6, which looks horrifying, yeah? Yeah, so I'm concerned about Nefedov's position, though. I mean, knight f6 takes, rook f3. There's this, Gelder. Ah. Yeah, Nefedov, you're seriously worse now. Wow. And you played g6, and now it's like even worse. And like, what's your knight gonna do? You're gonna bring your knight back here? Why, he plays way better against me than he does against random guys. Oh no, g4. Oh my god, this is horrifying. Knight g7, fianchetto. Alright, at least you have... Look, I'm capable of getting a bad position. So, I mean, I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but this is ugly. Still, we have knight e8. White's next move, though. Seriously. Nefedov is seriously worse, and the guy plays h3. What was he worried about? f5? He doesn't like f5? I think he's worried about f5. He wants to be able to respond with f5, you know, without having to trade pawns and keep the g4 pawn protected. Okay, knight e8. Yeah, but now, where's White's forward plan? He's playing for f5. He's got a lot of pawn moves, though, right? Look how many pawn moves he's made. Okay, b2 doesn't count, but still. It's a lot of pawn moves. And after this, black has knight d6, attacking c4. And now the very awkward move, bishop b3. Which is a weird way of protecting that pawn. Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, he could have played g5. Or knight f6 check first. I mean, yeah, why not just knight f6 check? Come on, man. Seriously. Well, Nefedov, I think he's lost here. Almost lost. You have to play king h8, and then if there's a rook lift, how the heck are you going to defend against that? Oh my god, man. You have this just in time. Yeah, you're in a really unpleasant position, but it might not be lost. This is really ugly. You probably have to take. I don't know. You can probably defend this somehow. Winning ugly. H3, here, 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 here. And then D5. That's terrible. White has like no plan. So you have choices, but this looks best. And now you have a very interesting choice with C5. No, I like black better. The guy totally destroyed his whole position. You have an excellent blockade now. He does have F5, so after C5, F5. Or he goes to the file. But anyway, you have a lot of play on the queen side now. It's like a Benoni. Totally black is better. So instead you played this in-between move. Which may not be bad. Why doesn't he go to the E file? What, he doesn't like the open file or what? I don't like that open file. I mean, seriously, nothing big, just like rook E7. Can the guy sack the exchange? Just asking for a friend. I want to see this. Jesus. He could have played d takes c6. Oh my god. Bishop takes f1. And I was thinking he had another move, but no, he has this. Wow. You have to sack it back, and it's equal. This is a total draw. It's totally a draw now. Should be a draw. Well, I could lose any position. Well, Nefedov might have missed that, and that's hard to see. But he goes c5 anyway. Now you got a good position. And this isn't that scary. I mean, his bishop's bad. His pawn's isolated. He doesn't have control of the open file. He has, like, no threats. He went from winning, or almost winning, to, like, lost in, like, 8 moves. Rook e8. I think the draw offer just did him in. Now, which way should you take? I guess with the h-pawn. I don't like giving him the e6 square, right? Like rook f6, rook e6 or something. He can make an outside pawn here, theoretically, but Nefedov is clearly better. There's rook e3, rook e5, double on the e file, queenside majority. He has the annoying rook f6, right? If rook f6, do we go rook d8, and we're just better? He can't double on the f file. Very good position. He's overextended. And now Nefedov played king g7. Well, it's difficult to say what you should do, except for winning a piece is usually good. Does that win a piece? Holy shit. Rook f6, rook d8? Why don't I just go rook d8? How is white, like, not losing a piece here? He is. He's losing a piece. Oh my god. Wow. Yeah, I mean, king g7 is a weird move. It's not a very aggressive move. You want to prevent rook f6, I guess. It's like extremely prophylactic. Maybe you had a pre-programmed plan. I don't know. Some sort of pre-programmed plan to play like f6 yourself or something. But I mean, I was tempted to play rook e5. I was looking at those two squares since you got to the e file. When you played rook e8, I mean, you should see these squares first off. But I mean, the guy's move a4, of course, is like ridiculous. a4 is like the worst move ever. He wants to stop b5, but he leaves his bishop unprotected. You're not expecting the guy to hang a piece. I mean, you're not thinking about that necessarily. It wasn't hanging a piece a minute ago. Now it's hanging a piece. So he missed it, then he saw it, but it's too late now. So you're not winning material. So white is like hanging on. I think you have to seriously consider sacking the exchange. Because if you trade, I don't know if you're winning by enough. I mean, this is something you got to look at, right? It's actually not sacking the exchange. Because on check, takes you could take with a bishop. Right? And you just trade everything. That endgame could be tricky, though. I wouldn't be surprised if you're not winning here. His bishop might not be being a pretty good defender, and the outside pawn here could play. But I was thinking actually like take with a rook. You know, you nearly have mating nets, and after something like this, dude, his bishop is a disaster. Wow. Computer thinks a white is okay. Okay, so don't rush. You're better. You can play rook e5, c4, rook e5, bishop b7, probably win a pawn. f6 is very hesitant. Terrible move. Okay, you have him on the diagonal. He can't play knight e6. I didn't see that till now. You have to consider g5. Rook e5. Obvious move. You play f6 if it's necessary, right? You don't have to play f6 though. Watch streak for Chess Zebra. 3-stream streak. No, I think Nefedov's moves like f6 and king g7 are similar. It might be time pressure related. I bet Nefedov wastes time in over the board games where he plays pretty quickly in regular. He has different modes, you know. Speaking of the World Cup, though, people's time management is really horrible. I did a little better with time management in this tournament. I made a point not to get in really bad time pressure, and it helped. Knight c3, a6. But I mean, I feel like you're close to allowing this guy off the hook. You're only winning by a very small margin here. Rook d2, he wants to trade rooks, but it's so slow. Yeah, Nefedov, unbelievably, your opponent sacks a piece? What? If he had left his rook on d1, he could have gone here now. But his plan was to exchange rooks. But I mean, geez, why doesn't he exchange rooks? That was the plan. Stick to the plan, man. I mean, maybe you're winning a pawn, right? Rook takes, king takes, attack the bishop. It's obviously horrible for white. Will you attack the knight first? No. Attack the bishop, bishop c2. Attack the knight. He has knight e4. I mean, you're tantalizingly close to winning here, but I'm not sure. Instead of f6, what if you go here and you put more pressure on the d5 pawn? What's the point? It doesn't matter because he has that. You're probably going to have to do what you did anyway. But f6 wasn't really necessary. But this is crazy. He takes on b5? What? Wow. I mean, it looked like ostensibly he was preparing to play rook e2. That's why he played rook d2. And he literally played rook d2 in order to play rook e2, and then he didn't do it. But why? You know, rook e2, king e2. Nefedov is better. I mean, I would play this position till the cows come home, but it might not be enough. You know, you could do g5, lock his pawns on the wrong color. Computer will draw. A human will probably lose it. You know, maybe Pavel would have beat him anyway. But this is ridiculous. What did he think? He thought he had d6 and he forgot his pawn was pinned? He must have calculated d6 was check or something. I don't know. It's not check and it's not legal. Other than that, d6 is great. I can't imagine what he was thinking. He just didn't see the pawn was defended. He must have had a hallucination. This was just hanging and it wasn't defended. It's only defended by the monster blockader on d6. This guy literally just gave Nefedov like 6 rating points. Or more, right? At your K factor, that's a lot of rating points. 12 rating points? Here, have 12 rating points. Knight takes b5. Knight takes b5. Bishop a4. He didn't think that worked, did he? He thought that worked? We have bishop a6, my favorite move. Yeah, okay, this was his plan. But it's very shallow, you know. It doesn't work at all. It wasn't even close to working. Poor guy. It looked like an Asterbait game. Now he has king e5. Uh-oh. He doesn't play king e5. You got to at least try king e5, no? I guess it doesn't help. You can always blockade with the bishop. It's over. Come on, he's out of piece. It's not over till it's over. Very solid. All you need is one. Alright. Alright. Next, Not Pabu. Thanks, Nefedov. Thanks everybody for joining us. Not Pabu, new subscriber, thanks to Mr. Slow. Bill also. Bill's game. Bill coming up next. The bill. Send me the bill. Bill 2K. Yeah, but I mean, Nefedov's psychological draw offer, you can't offer that draw against everybody. Nefedov, you better be careful who you're offering draws to, because some of those people are going to take them. This guy should have, you know, judging by his play, he should have taken that draw, like, instantaneously, because you're just a better player. I mean, you play the opening so badly, the opponent thinks you suck, and then you just, like, kill them. I mean, I do that too. I offered no draws at the World Senior, though. Probably should have offered a draw against Mikulewski around the move before I lost. Alright, now Pabu versus opponent. So we're playing d4, g6. As I've mentioned, in the Queen Pawn games, King's Indian style, pressure on this square. If you play e4. If you don't play e4, if you play like a fianchetto setup, it's not so simple. Bill first. Oh, he's not ready. Okay. He's not ready. He's been here all day. When's he going to be ready? Alright, so this is Bill's game. Bill, are we white? Is Bill here? Bill's here. Fine for me. Alright, so knight c3. You can play f4. And on d5, you have to play d3. You know about that? That's not so bad, actually. Better than the toilet variation. You can do this. I mean, this is playable. Just saying. So, alright. Now black has e6. And I've always been a believer in g6, but I think I might be converted. I don't know. They're both good. e6 and g6 are both good. Alright, g6, knight f3, bishop g7. And oh, the Perlstein attack. So somebody's been studying the Perlstein attack with white. Um, Mark Lyle played a3 against me. That must be that's a Simon Williams thing, or I don't know where Lyle got this. A3 makes sense. I mean, you're gonna play a Bowdler type of Grand Prix, and you have the retreat square on A2. Against Lyle, I got confused and I did something stupid. I had never faced A3. I was like, what is that? So D6 is the best move, but I played like E6, and there's some traps here. See, here you can incorporate these like weird B4 ideas. So it's like a hybrid. But A4, okay, I don't know anything about this. It shouldn't be dangerous, for black. It's a scam. It's kind of a scam. I mean, it's probably okay for white, but it shouldn't be anything special. It's playable. But, I mean, as far as white having a winning score here, that shouldn't be happening. The only reason white has a winning score here is because black has never faced this. It's a new idea. Strangely, although Perlstein has done some videos and stuff about this, he doesn't play, so we don't see too many examples. Denis Kadric, is he from Montenegro? I don't remember. Yeah, the guy has a couple games. So black, I don't know, maybe D6 is good. I don't like A6. I don't see the point of A6. So on Bishop E5, we're just playing like a normal Grand Prix with Bishop E5, except we've played A4. Black could play Bishop D7 or ignore this. I don't think A4 helps white's position too much in cases where you're exchanging pawns on Bishop takes C6, I mean. So I would assume that this is a playable move. Hamducci did that. Even knight f6 is possible. Li Dai. Dai Li. See, I would want to take back that A4 in the structure. But it's maybe not so bad. Interesting. So what other possibilities does black have? Knight h6 right away. No one has tried that. Looks like a good move. I know this idea from the white side of the English. The Grand Prix attack reversed. The computer. This should be tried. I don't like a6 at all. But it might not be so bad. It stops Bishop b5. I don't like weakening the b6. Let's see. So a6, preventing Bishop b5. Now you play g3. Okay, you just go back into a closed Sicilian. But that's not an acid test. Nothing wrong with going back to closed Sicilian, but I'm really wondering about this. So then what happens? You don't have access to the b5 square anymore. Black can play e6. f5. I'm a skeptic. This is like a normal variation where white has played a4 and black has played a6. How does that make a big difference? It shouldn't. G takes f. Oh my god, Alonso, 1993. No way. I just spent like the last 2 weeks like hanging out talking to Alonso. There's something wrong with that game. Artashis Manasian was not 22-20 when he lost to Alonso Zapata. He was 25-20. I know that for a fact because he crushed a friend of mine in the New York Open that year. 25-20. I wasn't higher rated than Artashis Manasian in 1993. Yeah, this is fine for black. So maybe you're right. Maybe you're right to play G3. All right. Close Sicilian. D6. Let me turn off the engine. Bishop G2. It's just a close Sicilian. Where we've played A4. And people are going to argue that you're playing on the opponent's stronger side. That's his queen side. But still, it's probably okay. I mean, if black gets in B5, he'll make progress on the queen side. You're playing queen E2 here, but why? I don't understand queen E2. Alonso Shark Liver facts. No, he does dog ears. He grabs the dogs by the ears. But you got to do it really quick. When you get attacked by a dog, you have to have nerves of steel, grab him by the ears, and then pull down really hard. It's easy. It's easy. Anyone who watches a YouTube video can do it. Queen E2. I mean, I would think you're considering G4. You know, you're playing the standard sort of bishop E3. Other waiting moves include king H1. You know, if you hadn't played A4, you might consider rook B1, but I guess with A4 and you probably don't do that. And then the weird thing about queen E2 is this. Okay, normally, yeah, that knight will come back to E2 and over here. And so if you play queen E2, your knight will have to go to D1. I'm just wondering about this. Shark liver, I told you guys about shark liver. No, the orcas are eating the sharks because they like their livers. They specifically like their livers. They just eat the livers and leave everything else. They're wasting shark, you know. They're not helping the environment by just killing these great white sharks and just eating them for their livers. It's a total waste. I mean, okay, I don't know. I mean, the problem is this kind of move isn't really good here because well, I don't know. Maybe it's okay. You might have issues. Yeah, I guess you figure you have issues with this. I'm not sure queen E2 is bad. It looks like a normal kind of move, right? I mean, the knight getting on that track can be awkward, but you can deal with it. All right, so we'll see what he does. Bishop D7, rook B8. What are we going to see here? Right away. I feel like black's pulling the trigger a little early here with the right away. He should probably... You know, maybe he's afraid you're going to play E5 or something. Why is he doing that right away? Why not rook B8? I mean, that's the obvious move. A Gallego game. Luis played bishop D2. Very scary. Oh my god, I'm so afraid. What am I going to do? Bishop D2, B5, AB, AB, king H1. Ooh, very scary. B4, and now knight A4. The Portuguese Grandmaster puts the knight on A4 rather than D1. That's kind of weird, isn't it? He's trying to highlight this square. Yeah, I'm not convinced by this. But anyway, okay, queen E2. He does this right away. You take, of course, takes with the pawn, and then knight D1. You know, having said that, you have to consider B1, you know. Just because you intended to play D1 doesn't mean that B1's not an option. he did this right away. So this becomes A2. I don't think so, but B1 to go to A3 or possibly D2. Because you know about this square. I think you've been studying Chigorin games, Mr. Bill. Bill is playing like Chigorin. No, we like this. We like that black went knight d4 right away. Now we have time to like prepare. He doesn't have any pressure here. I think the black's making a huge mistake, you know, committing to that so early. You're totally in time, you know. You can even play c3. Maybe even c4. Knight d4 was unnecessary, man. I mean, I would sacrifice this pawn in a heartbeat, but it's not the only issue. I mean, let's just, for argument's sake, say take, bishop b2. I would say black is objectively lost. But, you know, obviously he doesn't have to do that. For that matter, you could play c4. I could see Larson or someone playing this weird c4 to just frustrate black on the queen side. But it's also committal and doesn't seem necessary. Now, you have to play f5, right? The standard. And you're going to take and play your... Oh, wait, you can't get your knight to h5. You need a knight on h5. Always take the opposite way. That's what Dvoretsky told me. It makes sense here, too. Because if Bill had a knight... If Bill had a knight on g3, knight h5, he's in a lot of trouble. Black's in a lot of trouble. I mean, if our knight is on g3 going there, that's really bad. That's seriously dangerous. But in this case, because your knight is where it is, it doesn't really have the ability to get in the game, per se, you know? So it doesn't look scary. I'm still thinking about, you know, studying Bent Larson games. Can you imagine what Larson would do? I'm serious about, like, c4. But yeah, you have a problem over here, too. I mean, maybe you need to play g3 just to recapture with the pawn. And so you can control all these squares. I don't love it, but I mean, what are your options here? Pushing doesn't seem... I mean, they do that against me all the time, though. I do get these close Sicilian guys. They like to do that. And I've had situations where my bishop gets trapped on h8. Like, seriously. Let's just imagine this happens or whatever. Like this. You know, just for argument's sake, something like this. You might, like, be winning on the queen side, but your bishop gets trapped on h8. And I've had games where, like, it can't get off. Like, you can't get it off of h8. This happens. You know, that can be very annoying. And like, you're like, oh my god, my bishop's, like, trapped out of the game forever. That's a real possibility. So you have to consider that, g5. But you're taking, I don't know. You know, he has a very good knight on f5. But I guess it works both ways. Black here has to consider taking the pawn, too. Because the importance of e4 square. So I don't think this is out of the question. Oh, thanks for the gift, 300 bits from Smurfette. Guys, this move looks ugly structurally, but seriously, if you consider how important it is to keep the white pieces out of key squares, then maybe it's not such a bad idea to take with the pawn. I think black's move is a little bit, you know, well, it shouldn't be played automatically. I mean, the move is the default, I think, to keep the better pawn structure. But now we have a clear plan. Boom, boom. Now maybe you can play d5 with black, and that, you know, that's going to be different squares. Even if I get to e4, you kick me out, I go to g5 or g3. No, so you went c3. I was thinking, you know, seriously, Yeah, even c4 is a possibility to take away the d5 square. Larson would do some weird stuff, man, in the close Sicilians. Takes, okay, knight takes c3. This is reasonable. The pawn sack is a no brainer. They cannot take that pawn. The pawn is insane. Like, taking that pawn is mental. There's no way you can do that. So they have to just keep the tension. Black plays bishop d7. You play bishop d2, and now rook f7. You do have the ability to consider a5. There's also bishop b5. You said in hindsight you like c4. Yeah, I mean, that was a serious possibility. It's committal. It's committal. And black has this very strong mass of pawns in the center. But once again, I don't know, maybe black takes. Maybe black should take and just play, you know. Take once and just continue from there. Black cannot take this, or should not take this pawn on c3. But I mean, difficult to evaluate this position. Black looks good, but then again, you know, it's not sure like what he's going to do next. This rook f7 for me is a really weird move. I don't understand rook f7. I'm probably not the only person in the room doesn't understand rook f7. Well, rook f6 does make more sense. You're going to play rook g6 or something. Now you're tipping me off to his idea. So it's another way of like putting the rook on the g file. He wants to play like rook g7, just in a kind of sneaky way, like bishop f6, bishop h6, rook f7, rook g7. I mean, this is like the automatic sort of move to defend the e6 square. I would think like bishop c6. But black has to get the king off of the g file. I mean, king h8 is a no-brainer. At what point are we going to play king h8? I would say black needs to play that move 100% of the time, right? Like, it's just a question of now, or like 2 moves later, or 3 moves later. Hype train incoming. I'm like falling down in my chair. My chair keeps getting lower and lower, and I don't adjust it. Taking control of the 7th, dominating the 7th rank. No, it's a sneaky attacking move. Knight f2 from Chigorin. King h8, see, I told you. And now knight e4. Uh-oh. Well, now we have to play h6, as easy as that. Yeah, now that rook f7 is a pain because it's loose. It looks like you're better now, Bill. It looks like you've got something here. Except for bishop e8. What are we going to do about bishop e8? You're going to play queen h3. And his rook's disconnected. White is well coordinated. So he goes here. Now he's ready to play bishop e8. And now the question is what to do. Asterby, thanks for the gift sub, man. Thanks for Smurfette donating 400 bits. Asterby giving a gift sub to Estan. No, it's Eatan. I need glasses, but I refuse to wear them. Now you lose the plot. Yeah, no, rook f3 looks weird. But you don't have that many moves, you know? I mean, that many obvious moves. You also should be seriously considering king h1, although the g file isn't urgent at the moment. It seemed more natural for black. You can't move your a rook without dropping a4. It's a tricky position. You have, you both have some weaknesses. I don't know. I mean, you have a lot of pawn islands. 3 pawn islands, but it feels like more. Bullet Simul at level 10 hype train. Right. How did you know? Thanks for another 100 bits. Rook A F8, Rook F3. I don't know what the plot is, though. Is the plot to go here? Or just double? I don't think Rook F3 is terrible. You're guarding the E3 square. I don't see any caveman attacking here. You might call Rook F3 a defensive move. And now Bishop E8. Yeah, this is a problem now. I mean, your queen has this square. You could put your queen on G4, but then the G file. Still, you're fine. Alright. I mean, you could go back with the queen. I think that's the safer thing to do here. Do we have issues with, like, the H4 square? Say Queen E7 or Queen D8? Yeah, this starts to be a little awkward, right? Because now I guess Bishop E1. But this square is soft. I think we have to start calculating. I don't like where your rook is. Your rook has no squares. That Rook F3 was awkward. Alright, so Rook H3. This looks okay. Maybe you're right about Rook H3. Better to bring the queen back on this diagonal. Otherwise your Rook on F3 was very awkward. Yeah, this was right. That looks okay. Very safe. You still should have your king on H1 by now. Rook G6. Yeah, now in retrospect you said you wanted to play C4. Now it would be nice to have this pawn chain go like boom, boom, boom. C4, B4, B5 or something. Hype train level 1. 30%, guys. We crushed it. We don't normally get hype trains, but they're activating the hype train sort of randomly. We don't normally get hype trains. Nice. Mr. Sohan gifted 7 subs. 7 subs. I do a little dance like Trump, you know. At 7 subs. Hype train level 2. Alright, we do the Trump dance. Yeah, we haven't got the hype train level 10. That's definitely bullet simul. Good idea. C4. Bent Larson approved. Bishop C6. Yeah, and so now we're looking at some scary stuff here, right? You should have played King H1 at some point. There's 93. That's looking like a very scary pawn sack. Can we play B4, B5 really fast now? There are actually a lot of people starving over here. You mean because people aren't getting SNAP benefits in the United States? There are people starving in a lot of places now. There's a lot of bad shit happening world over. Depends. Right. Right. C4, Bishop C6. Queen H5. Well, black defends. Oh no. That's square. I think this is time pressure and someone is in panic mode. You seem reluctant to play King H1. Any particular reason? Yeah, Bishop on C6 he's a killer. I mean, I'm serious. Can you do this? Of course this is scary. I mean, he could go here, takes, your rook is hanging. You have to play like rook E1, then bishop D4. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. B4 is too slow. Your king is not in a good place. And that self-pin looks very dangerous. Black is focusing on h4. Control it. And knight e3 looks bad. I mean, knight e3 looks like it might be winning. What are you going to do? Sack the exchange? I think you're lost. Feels like I'm lost. I don't like the look of this, man. We definitely lost the thread. But in retrospect, I mean, maybe c4 is a mistake, you know, because you take pressure off of c3 and you give access to d4. And I think the d4 is going to kill you. You said you regretted not playing c4, but that doesn't mean you should play it. You probably have to play something else. I think you have to keep the status quo there and get your king off the freaking line, first of all, with king h1. And then when they go bishop c6, your king is on the diagonal, but at least it's not that easy for black to pry this open. So frankly, I think like c4 was a bad move when you played it. Because at the end of the day, you know, if he goes here, okay, fine. Let's say bishop c6, I don't know, you know, rook g1, knight e3. But it doesn't matter because he doesn't have access to d4. Maybe you lose a pawn or something. Yeah, so I think this is too little, too late. You're already in trouble. And queen h5, a one-move threat. You know, but I mean, ultimately, you got to get your king off the line, right? It still looks really bad, but maybe you can survive. Hype train complete. Hype train success. Open hype chest. You earned a hype chest. Share. All right. Yeah. Weak squares. Queen f3 here. You can't keep everything protected. So finally you tried knight g3. Well, it's better than nothing. This could last. All that to put the king on g2. Okay. Well, looks like bishop h4. That's pretty nasty. Oof. Yeah, that's a nice move. This is not good. You had to sack the exchange and you're just busted. No compensation. Alright, that's a tough one. I mean, the closed Sicilian takes a lot of practice. I don't know. I mean, I'm a little skeptical of the setup with queen e2. It doesn't feel right to me. I mean, this knight is normally coming back to e2. But I mean, I guess I'd liked your position after you went knight d4 so quickly. It's like from here you messed up. This should be considered, no? I think you should consider knight b1. I mean, why not? Why do you have to be congested at d1 necessarily? It's still not like a placebo or whatever, but panacea is the word I was looking for. Let's see what the computer likes. I just want to be open-minded about this knight retreat. It's very close. It actually prefers knight d1. I don't think that knight d4 is black's best move, though. The computer likes it. I don't see why black has to play it right away, you know? It seems very committal. It's not going to like your queen e2. Well, it still thinks that you're slightly worse. g4. g4 is normal. You can do that right away. And then I told you, you have the knight e2, knight g3, knight h5 thing. It's like the game I had with Josh Waitzkin. 1991. Slagy Josh Waitzkin. Closed Sicilian. What my second ever game with e4? My first? No, it was like my third game with e4 probably. I played the New Hampshire Open 1991. I played Robert Sulman and Curdo. I played e4. And then at the National Chess Congress, I played Waitzkin. That was my third e4 game. I drew with rook. I drew with knight against rook. Just knight versus rook. He was pissed. He wouldn't give me a draw. I'd like give him dirty looks. I was giving dirty looks to like Maurice Ashley and Waitskin, because Waitskin's just playing out the stupid like rook versus knight endgame. It's like an annoying teenager. All right. Anyway, long story, but g4 is okay. Going back, we've got not Pabu. Ready or not Pabu. So d4, g6, c4, closed queen pawn game, bishop g7. So I played everything here. You know, I had a lot of games with Alexander Ivanov, where I played the main line with e4, but I've also played black. Knight c3 I don't really like because black has c5 and the beefeater variation, or Jinji, so-called Jinji India. So if you play black plays c5, you have a problem. You have to play d5 or something lame. e3 is lame, knight f3 is lame, so you have to play d5, and then bishop takes c3, and the computer says white is better, but it's not. If you're not a computer, it's not easy to play. Karpov is allowed to play this position with white. He won a game, I remember, at some tournament. But it's not a good position for humans to play this type of line. You have to be prepared for this. This is a very strong variation for black. So now you have to play like Oleg Krivonosov and do e3. And the best you could get is probably something like this. e3. What do I like now for black? Oh, this just transposes, right? This is an e3 poison. Spike Lee. Spike Jones, what's his name? The guy who wrote E3 Poison. Very hard to play the Jinjinian. I have like a almost perfect score with black against masters. You know, I have something like 4.5 out of 6. I mean, I've never lost to the Jinji Indian. Helps if you work with Jinji, but it's still, the computer will say like black's way worse after this. It's not so easy, man. So, my last game with this was interesting. What did I do? My opponent played. Oh no! You know what they do? They go here, and then they play e3. So take knight c6. You know, another position that theoretically should be okay for black. I mean, for white, is this is a Rubinstein English reversed. Once my friend David Vigorito got this position against Smirin with black at the World Open. And Smirin offered a draw with white in like 11 moves. You know, he hated his position so much. He's like 2,600 and offered a draw to Vigorito in like 10 moves. Computer will say like white is doing fine here, right? 0.0. But look at the score. Why is black like winning like 50% of the games? You have to be like a superhuman to play this properly with white. So the best methodology is e3. And I had this game with this guy, a Hungarian guy, a couple years ago, who actually played something interesting. He did, what did I do? Knight f6? Yeah. And now he found a move I had never faced before. Because normally they always go passive. They do like b3. This is the way that Krivonosov used to play against me in Blitz. And then beat me with like rook versus rook in endgames. Rook versus rook, no pawns. Guy's like a master of that. But against this guy, he went g3. This is actually not a bad idea. So you can try to kind of backdoor it into a normal English. And we had some game like d6, bishop g2, bishop d7. He castled and I played h5. And would you believe that Magnus played this with black? The game's not in here. Maybe I didn't play h5 right away. Maybe I played queen c8 first. There it is. It's Van Wely Carlson. 2006. I played queen c8 and then h5, and won a nice game against this guy. But anyway, like if you don't do that, like if you don't do g3, you just have a stupid position. So basically the moral of the story is, if you play this move order, you're kind of screwed. Either you get nothing, or you have to play the white side of the Gingy Indian. So my recommendation is to just not play knight c3. Like if you want to play aggressively, then you have to play like e4. Otherwise, just play something like knight f3 and do a fianchetto. So after this, though, this is not dangerous. This is a King's Indian or modern. This is a different story. I also have a lot of games with this, with white. Both colors, actually. I had a game with Kozak on him. I've even played a few times with black. Knight c6. Asmai Parashvili probably played this. I had a game with Igor Ivanov once. I think he just transposed back into a King's Indian with black. But yeah, now we have a King's Indian. So I think that this is more interesting, though. I mean, if black wants to play this move order, if bishop e3, e5, and then d5, knight d4, knight e2, and this is another one of Roman's things. He used to play bishop g4, but this is bullshit. This is unsound, you know. Sometimes Gingy would do this stuff like sack a piece. This is unsound. It's stupid. Alright. Anyway. Your opponent transposes to King's Indian. You played the same-ish. Black castled. White played knight e2. And now a very strange move by black. Rook e8. Why does black play rook e8? Okay. Maybe some cases where white plays bishop e3. This reminds me of one of the last rounds, round 10 at the World Senior, where Euro and Bosch beat what was his name? Novik. It was this. Oh God, it was this position. E5 takes. This is disgusting. Queen takes queen. And Novik had no idea what he was doing. He had no idea what he was doing. There was like knight d5. And he did something weird. I think he did like knight a6. And he got into terrible trouble, bishop g5. It was horrible. Watching a Grandmaster like get crushed. Here he thought for like 20 minutes. I was like, dude, this doesn't look good. I was sitting there next to them like, oh my God. This is horrible for black. But rook e8 is not a move. That doesn't help us. So bishop e3, and now e5. Well, if you exchange pawns, you'd be like a tempo up. But you don't have to exchange pawns. You can also push, and the rook is misplaced. Yeah, now you know you have the option to castle, but queenside castling is not typical in the same-ish. There's one game there, white actually castled queenside. I mean, it's very dangerous. You're supposed to play d5. You have a big space advantage. The rook is misplaced. Reshevsky would argue for this very strongly. The art of positional play. Rook's going to need to go back to f8 to support f5, and it's too slow. Black's getting blown out here. This isn't even close. You're just going to get like brutally destroyed. Black's going to get brutally destroyed on the king side. Or maybe both sides. Black should play a5 probably. This move is always bad. Rarely is knight b6. Rarely is knight b6 good in a King's Indian. There are a few exceptions. I mean, you can't play c5. You have to defend the pawn. I think this should be considered. But then he can probably block the kingside with like h5. So the more natural move is like knight to c1. Then he has this knight h5 crap. So you're better off just playing b3, which is what you did. And then Blacksley is playing c6, and this at least, attempts to distract you from like a direct kingside attack. But now you have like choices. You can even take. You can take and you can play like c5, leveraging his structure. I would argue that Black is borderline, getting close to clear disadvantage here. He probably has to take, allow a trade of queens. If you want to just be a minimalist, I think this is seriously better for white. But yeah, probably not the best. It's too much simplification. After c6. You also don't have to play c5. You could play takes and like rook d1 or something, but he's probably going to blast it open. He would like to see this happen, basically. This is really what Black is banking on, some kind of dragon-like thing where he gets in d5. I could see that working for Black. But yeah, the knight is misplaced on b6. The question is like, what should you do? You launch an attack? Okay, but you have to remember your king is in the middle of the board. C takes d5, c takes d5, and now, you could go here, you could castle queenside, you could castle kingside, you can wait, but Black has a difficult position. Nevertheless, I think that Black needs to consider playing h5 at some moment. So probably bishop d7. The engine actually likes h5. No, you know what? Sometimes h5 is good because you can go h4 for Black. He can play h4, maybe to try to close the lines. So it's not so easy to say how you answer that. H3 and then h4. Maybe that pawn falls. But maybe it's not so simple. Looks good for you though. All right, a5. You could definitely play a4 here. But the b6 knight is very weak. It looks terrible. Rook c1, knight g3. So Black's got a4. It's very slow. I think he could try to sacrifice the exchange maybe here. Asterbate, thanks for gifting Silent but Deadly. Alright. A4, B4, that's fine. Black has an extremely difficult position. The computer points out bishop d7. Positional exchange, this, in some positions is good, but I don't think it really works here. Feels like you made a tiny concession giving up the c4 square. So here Black plays for rook c8. How's that square? Yeah, but he has a problem with g5. He has no squares for his knight because the rook belongs on f8. Maybe he has to play this first. Sorry. Maybe he has to go here, so g5 can be met by a knight move. And then here. And then h5. And you have some attacking chances on the h line. For example. So queen c7, going for the c4 square again. Rook c1 looks logical. Computer points out g5, okay. And you went there, which certainly seems okay. I like how the engine says knight b5 is dubious. Okay, well, I'll accept it. Here, rook e7, h4, very strong attack. h5 is too late. Black has a terrible position. And here you might consider, I don't know, knight a3, just to avoid exchanges. But it's not necessary. Maybe he should. I guess he can't. He can't take the other way. And now bishop takes b5. Oh, wow! What a fancy move. That's a classic, right? Bishop h6, running queen h8, mate. Classic attacking motif. Black is choked by his own pieces. f6. But where's the mate? Check. Where's the mate? Oh, bishop takes b5. He's not getting away. Yeah, this is a really, really nice game. And double check. I mean, check and then check. So it's really mate after bishop takes. Mate on the next move with queen takes g7. Very nice game. Black did not know what they were doing. I just got a submission from Night Maven. Who is that? Oh, that's you? The origins of this. All right. PGN. You see, this is being annoying. Why is it being annoying? Copy to clipboard. All right. Night Maven. Are you white? You're black. This is new. I hope this works. Paste. Yes. Alright. So you're black. Silent but deadly. Converted from losing position. Alright. We'll analyze this, and then I'll do one of the games from the World Cup for you guys. Bishop's opening is good. Actually, the game in we can look at that after this. Aronian, but I like the Erigaisi game better. Aronian played a Bishop's opening. You know why I chose Aronian? Because he's a very good Grand Prix. He's a very good Grand Prix player. Levon has a good. He has a very strong history in playing in the Grand Prix event. He's a good handle on it. You know, he's tricky, and he seems to play well in that format. But anyway, Bishop's opening is tough. Knight f6 is probably the best. White plays knight c3, so it's a Vienna now. And then, now you have to make a choice. You know, I don't know too much about what I recommend here. I've played mostly bishop c5 lately. I mean, a lot of people play knight takes e4. A lot of people play bishop b4. Knight c6 is the main line. But I really feel like I feel safest with this move. It's a constructive move. You're developing your pieces in a very fundamental way. I think this is... It also doesn't block the c-pawn, because using c6 can be very useful. Most people will automatically go here. The main line is like knight a5. I don't think that's so easy to play. I mean, you can kind of get a little bit behind in development. And knight takes c4 is pretty crazy. So, queen h5, knight d6, bishop e3, and then if knight c6, you get the Dracula Frankenstein variation with knight b5. I don't know if I want to be involved in that or not, but whatever. So you played knight c6, which is fine. And after d3, okay, so you're playing bishop c5 now. It's a line. But, you know, this is the main move. Computer thinks it's best. Not the most fundamental developing move. So here, I feel a little bit less sure of what's going on. White has f4. Bishop g5. I've lost some games trying to play this way with black. If you know what you're doing, I guess you're okay. Now knight e2. That's surprising there's a Kasparov game I didn't know. That's some kind of St. Louis crap. Knight on G to E2. Some St. Louis game. Okay, knight on G2, some rapid blitz, whatever. Knight G2. This isn't too common, but it looks okay. What about knight G4? That's been played. If you play knight G4 and he plays castles, you play queen H4 and white is lost, right? So what the heck is going on here? After knight G4, that German guy, Noah, was 2,500 even back in 2018. Wow. He's a GM finally? He was an IM forever? Knight G4? Oh my gosh. D4. This is crazy. This doesn't look right for white. I think this is bad for white, you know? There's a reason why people don't play knight on G to E2, and that's it. How bad is it, though? Let's take a look. Yeah, it's almost losing. Knight G4, you have to play D4. This is literally the best. E takes D4, so it's like a fried liver attack, kind of reversed. And if you find knight A4, you're not lost by force now. And nobody found the engine's #1 move in 2 games, going back to the 90s. Queen H4. Pretty obvious, right? Inducing weaknesses, then this, and then you go back to defend the bishop. Black has a huge advantage. So that was a bad mistake. Shouldn't miss that knight G4. D6 is solid. See, he can go after your bishop now. And I think you should consider going to B6. So sometimes people prefer to allow the capture on C5. That's also not so bad for black. You could allow knight takes C5. Anyway, D6, H3. I would play A6 though. I mean, you have time for this. If you don't play A6, what are you going to do? Go after his bishop. You know, you need to play knight A5. You need to know this theme. You castled. I mean, bishop G5 is a possibility here too. And now, bishop G5 still a possibility. You can go after his bishop. I think you should, but white will have F4 with play. Maybe not. Maybe that does prevent F4 though, because now you take and take on E4. How are you going to prevent F4 otherwise? If you don't play knight A5 here, how are you going to prevent white from playing F4? And if white plays F4, I think white is better. He has a strong attack on the king's side. So it looks like knight A5 is like almost forced. I mean, you could go here, and white will probably take and play F4. But he gets that break in and has a bishop, and I think that white is maybe a little bit better. So you need to preempt him by playing knight A5. White can play A3 now, at a minimum, stopping knight A5, and white seems better. I think you should play bishop E6. So he plays F4 right away. You don't have time for knight A5. You still have time for knight A5, but you're in a bad position now. I mean, bishop G5 is coming, so you need to stop bishop G5 somehow. You know, maybe H6. It looks scary, but you know this is actually also scary. Knight G3. So I don't know. I don't like the situation we're in now. This looks very, very scary. That's why I don't like to play this type of line. I don't think this is going to save us. You know, this sacrifice is unlikely to work. He can stuff you with F5. This is still not bad. Now this, probably your best move. I'm not sure he should play F5, to be honest, you know. He should have a strong attack on the king side. What if he takes? Maybe F5 is a mistake. You had a chance to play what? Had a chance to play D5. You had a chance to play D5. Well, that's a possibility too. You had a chance to play. He had a chance to play D5. When? Oh, here. He had a chance to play d5. That's true. It's double-edged, though. You know, I think that white is better with the two Bs. Like, d5 takes. I still think that white might be a little bit better. That's true. It's true. You could say, like, here, bishop e6, black is almost equal. Yeah, that's true. It would circumvent f4. I agree. Better than what he did. I mean, bishop d7 is too slow. This is definitely not good. White is better. Here, I don't know. You know, maybe white has a lot of options. This closing it up, I'm not sure about. Here, looks like black is probably okay now. b3, trapping his own bishop. That's definitely not good. So you missed. Maybe you didn't miss this. Okay, if b5, bishop d5, c6, b4. But you destroy his whole center. Takes, 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 and white is worse. I think. But you could also just simply take here. Now your knight's going to get trapped. We can't have that. See, this isn't so simple. It's very tempting. b3, b5, bishop d5, b4. What did I say? c6, b4. Weird position, huh? Pawn takes, pawn takes. It's actually good that your queen is on this file. Black can't be worse here. You have to be better. Plus 1.3. The best move is queen c5 check. What? It is 2 in the knight, submissimo. Well, yeah, we generally do more serious games here. We're not analyzing a lot of rapid and blitz games. This is too slow. Yeah, you don't have enough play. White is definitely better. Though, I think he had bishop h5 or g5. Trading the knights is not that good, you know. And if you go knight e8 now, he has f6. I don't like your position. I think you're in a lot of trouble. You're probably lost here. You're better off not allowing that, but going here is good for you. You know, you should just take. I think you're holding on. You should take and play f6 before he plays f6. Otherwise, you get mated. And this is probably, you know, defensible for black. You should be okay here. But this is a big mistake. A lot of fundamental mistakes in this game. I mean, it's possible that this isn't his best move. Taking right away on f6, I'm not sure. Looks very dangerous, though. Yeah, he wins the exchange. He should be winning here. You have some chances to draw. This guy. Rook g8, bishop c6. Yeah. You have compensation, it looks like. Oh my god. Rook takes f7, rook e3. That's what happened. He takes on c4. But maybe white has a better move. I mean, queen... maybe he doesn't have a better move, actually. Queen b2. Rook takes h3 check. Queen b2. Rook takes h3 check. King g1. Rook h1 check. That's horrible. He's getting mated. He's winning, apparently, on rook b1 or queen b2. Wow, really? He's winning. Wow. Rook takes h3. Oh, I'm hallucinating. I'm sorry. I'm hallucinating. I thought the bishop was already on an open diagonal. Oh, my God. Wow. Yeah, so you need to play bishop takes e4. But he's got mate on the back rank. So you had to do this desperate sacrifice. Uh-huh. So what's this, a draw? It's a draw. Is it a draw? Takes, check here, here. It's a draw. I mean, you could play this, but you'll lose. You have to take the draw. You're lucky to get a draw there. Seriously, but this is crazy. He played that. You check, and you're probably winning. Now, yeah, I mean, Queen F4. Queen F4. That wasn't the best that you did there. That's a funny move, though. You gotta like Bishop A4. He's getting away. Oh, here you have Queen F4, but that may not be enough. This is a funny game, though. The end was funny. That is very funny, and you checkmated him. Entertaining. Okay, guys, it's late, but I'm gonna do one more game. So let's take a look at a game from the World Cup. I just loaded this one up from Aronian in round 1, or his first round, against this India and IM. I just have a question, right? How are India and IMs in the World Cup? Is it just because it's being held in Goa, and they have like some wild cards? I was a little surprised. Also, he's playing such a strong player. Who is this guy? Just a random IM? 25-20 is decent, but still. I don't understand the qualification for the World Cup. So the FIDE president... So FIDE president gets his own wild cards, and then the country gets its own wild cards? How many wild cards are there? You know, it just seems unfair. It's like the Olympiad where the host country gets a bunch of wild cards. He's still the strongest IM in India? Wow, I'm surprised. I would think there'd be like a million. 25-20 isn't... You know, you'd think there'd be like 25-80 IMs or something. Still, like, you know. He's outrated by most of the players in the tournament by like 100 points, at least. I don't know. I don't like this whole wild card thing. It just seems unfair. Also, Dvorkovich just throwing whoever he wants in there. It's very political. Imagine if, like, the FIFA wild card, they just, like, put, like, random countries in the Soccer World Cup. It just doesn't seem... It's too political. Anyway, this is a good game. Aronian played white. He played e4, e5, bishop c4. So that made me think of your game. Knight f6. And now Levon doesn't play the Vienna. I don't think the Vienna is as good as d3. I think that d3 is a tiny bit better, objectively. And so now black plays c6. This is a very useful move order by white, I should mention. Because you can still do a Vienna in some cases. Black plays c6 now. And then what Aronian did here is apparently normal, but it's like white has a bunch of different moves. This is interesting. Queen e2. Knight f3. Black plays d5. And now white takes on d5. And this is very surprising. Because Levon gives up his center. He gives up his trump point on e4 early. So this is not something that black is going to be well prepared for. Because look at the statistics. Almost always white plays bishop b3 in this position. These guys have... Aronian is very tricky. He has very specific preparation. So this is some kind of line he knows maybe objectively isn't as good, but he's looked at very deeply. So I just think it's cool. It's like you're playing black or something. Pawn takes pawn, and just bishop b3. I'm just being black with the white pieces. And it's very hyper modern. So he gives up the center to counterattack. And I think that his opponent, you know, isn't really, let's say, prepared as well to deal with this. So, you know, black wants to play a solid game. He's playing Aronian, he plays e4, e5. There was another game I saw, someone played the Petrov against Leko. Okay. Bobby Cheng, some Australian grandmaster. Dude, is it a good idea to play the Petrov against Leko? Do you think that's really a great idea? I was kind of scratching my head. It was like the time that Hikaru played the Caro-Kann against Leko. I was like, I'm sorry, I don't think that's really the greatest idea against like the most solid player in the world. We're gonna play a super solid opening against a solid player. Maybe not a good idea. Alright, so this is apparently a mistake. Check. And then you look at the list and there's no good players. Well, that's not a good sign. So clearly knight c6 needs to be better. And it's also a much more natural move. Not a common position though. So bishop before check, weird move. He induces c3 for free. But I mean, okay, white won't be able to put the knight on c3. It's an idea that happens sometimes in the Scotch and other openings. But I feel like it's a free move for white. Bishop d6, and now white castles, and then black castles. And interestingly, we've got some transpositions to Nepomniachtchi. And one game where Aronian was actually black in the same exact position. So the idea is like you give up the center, you play hyper modern chess, you're counter-attacking. We're going to put pressure on d5. This is a very common kind of idea. You know, white's pieces are passive on the queen side, right? Black has a strong looking center, but can he keep it all protected? It's not so easy, you know. So I thought it's an original way of playing with white. And so far black's used 4 minutes. Bishop g5. And now how do you keep d5 protected? What choice do you have? Someone played bishop c7 here. That's kind of a weird move though. I mean, obviously knight c6 is not protecting. So bishop e6. Knight on bd2 now. Does white have anything better? This is very weird. So Aronian with black, Wesley So with black, both against Nepomniachtchi, had the same position, and it looks like white played c4 in some games. So Nepomniachtchi played c4 against Wesley So 5 years ago, and there's another game where Nepomniachtchi played rook e1 against Aronian, which is a very natural move. But here we have instead knight on bd2. It reminds me of playing like the Aliakhin's defense or something. How does black keep this overextended center protected? He's got to keep this protected, this protected, this protected. Everything has to stay protected. White has like no responsibility. So it's not necessarily an advantage. It's like the Grunfeld. It's not necessarily an advantage to have a big center. You know, if the center is just getting attacked, it's just this like liability. You know? It looks like black is better, but he's not really better because he just has to protect these stupid pawns all the time. He's only equal at best. Knight on bd7, rook e1, and now what do you do? So white doesn't seem to have an immediate threat. So I think this is like critical position. India had no wildcards. FIDE gave 6 wildcards. So how is this guy in there? Can you explain that to me, Mr. Slow? How does Aroniak Ghosh get in the tournament? How do you qualify for the World Cup anyway? I don't even understand. I don't understand how people qualify for the World Cup. Like national championship or something? It must be like the national championship. It's not clear. I guess he must have done well in his national championship. There are 80 federation spots, according to the last Olympiad outcome. India won. 80 federation spots, according to the last Olympiad outcome. So it's just really weird. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what black should do now, but he does h6. Yeah, Sepp Blatter is involved. Did you guys hear that FIFA is going to give a special peace prize to Donald Trump? Unbelievable. Because he wanted a peace prize so much, the World Soccer Federation is going to give him one. Okay, H6, I'm not in love with this move. So we're following Kantans, Marbadan, Garadian. Now black still needs to make a decision. What do you play? Like rook e8 or something? I would think like rook e8. Why not rook e8? I mean, it looks like a good move. You can unpin though, huh? So people who have played queen c7, that's what this dude did. Not an impressive square, really. But getting out of the pin is worth something. There's also been a game where black played rook c8. The Kantans game. So he's looking at c4. Let's see what the computer says. Rook c8 is the best move. Wow. Rook e8 is second best. Then there's like b5, which is neat. Wonder why black would play that. Watch what happens next, right? Queen c7, c4, novelty. Doesn't make you want to wish you played b5. You gotta love this move, right? It looks weird, right? That's the way to control the center. We're fighting back for control of the center. This is a great move. It's Snake Benoni. Aronian is playing the white side of Snake Benoni. So what happens if black pushes, right? Can I just ask an obvious question? Does anyone like fully understand this? I know it seems weird to release the tension, but is this just a really good Snake Benoni now? And what are we doing? I'm not exactly sure. Does anyone understand? Why not d4? I mean, it's Aronian and I'm afraid. That was another thing, like watching the guy who played the Petrov against Leiko. He spent like 30 minutes on an obvious move, on like move 15. I was like, dude, are you afraid or what? I mean, the guy's like almost 2,600. I'm sure he doesn't get that scared against like average players. But you know, if you're 2,600, you shouldn't be afraid of anybody. d4, come on. What about d4? What's the problem? Is there some tactic? I don't get it, you know. I mean, if bishop g3, couldn't you even do this? Theoretically? Okay, maybe that doesn't work. I don't know, though. I'm not sure white even has a threat here. Jesus. That's not even good. Oh, shit. So c5 works. Oh, my God. Wow, this is very cool. So check this out. c5. Yeah, Levon had this plan. Queen takes c5. Let's say bishop takes e6, pawn takes e6, sacking like a pawn. Positional pawn sack. So that's very subtle, and that's why black doesn't go d4. But I think here black lost the thread. You can't keep the tension forever. I don't know, we'll see. Looks like he lost the thread here. White is better, though. It's very tricky the way white got an advantage in this game. Bishop f5, c takes d5, bishop takes d3. But white has more space now. The pawn on d5 is very strong. Rook c1, queen b8, okay. Would you rather be white or black here? Because I see hypermodernism, and I see it working. This is a perfect example of hypermodern play by Levon. You see a bad bishop on b3? Dude, I see a bad bishop on d6. But I see a space advantage for white with that pawn on d5 at the moment. He plays knight c4, the bishop's attacked, black trades, and we still have bad bishops. But watch this. No bishop takes, rook takes. Now we still have a space advantage. So we asked the obvious question. Mr. Slow said, you don't like the bad bishop. So he makes his bishop great again, just like Donald Trump. This is amazing. Now watch what happens. This is crazy. Aronian had this like planned. This is crazy. Knight d2, giving up the h2 pawn with check. Bishop takes h2 check, and now king h1. So suddenly, all the white's pieces are pretty active. The e4 pawn is going to fall. There's a pass pawn on d5. And, you know, I don't know if black lost his mind here or what happened. But I am not entering into this move very lightly. Here the guy played g5, and I don't know if that's a good idea. Because all hell breaks loose. I mean, maybe it's okay, but it looks extremely dangerous. If black can choose another option, I would strongly consider, you know, a different option here. He plays g5. There's no going back now. I mean, you've weakened your king side. g3, trapping the bishop on h2. So it's just like a trade. Bishop for bishop. As simple as that. Takes. And now this guy is trapped on h2. But Aronian is seriously, he's like a magician, you know, very tricky. You think he's a positional player, and then all of a sudden he's coming at you with all kinds of crazy stuff, especially in these World Cups. Then he takes e4. He's just not even recapturing the bishop on h2 because it's like in the deposit box. H takes g3, f takes g3, knight takes e4, and now rook on c takes e4. And so we have rook g4 check. So we're getting that bishop, right? We're getting it back. Now black has to defend here. But Mr. Slow said it's a bad bishop, and it is kind of a bad bishop, but will it always be a bad bishop, or is it a strong bishop? After like d6, somehow that can be a strong bishop. Or if it comes back to c2, it could be kind of a strong bishop. It would have been a bad bishop if the bishop had stayed closed, but the way it goes, it looks like a very strong bishop. So black blunders now. What could he play here? I don't know. I would be like terrified. I would be terrified with black. King h8. Everything looks bad. Can black even defend this position? Bishop takes g3. It looks suicidal. I mean, why did he play g5? Yeah, I mean, he only has one move that doesn't lose by force. Wow. Queen d6 blockading. And that's like begging for rook e6, isn't it? Queen d6 is the only move that doesn't lose. Queen d6, king takes h2. And now what? Well, we have equal material. White's got the e-file, a passer on d5. It just looks like white is better. But black blundered. He has 40 minutes to 30 now. Time very important. Knight f6. And so white misses a strong move. Rook g4 check. Oh no. Oh no, rook g4 check. With the idea of queen d4. So what's the point? Rook g4 check takes, queen takes check, king h8, only move. So we're down the exchange. Let me understand this. Takes, check, king h8. What's happening here? Does anyone understand? We're down a rook. Check. Check f6 looks bad. So if check, this looks very bad. I mean, still not clear to me, but Jesus. Unbelievable. But I mean, okay, Ronian didn't see this. It's understandable. You know, this is very hard to see. So he doesn't find rook g4 check. Instead, he plays d6. And now black has to play what? Queen c8. So queen c8. Can I go like rook h4? Is it too late? If black finds this move, he has 28 minutes. This is the only defense. Queen c8, threatening queen h3. Protecting g4. Well, it guards g4. I mean, you're threatening to play knight takes e4 now. Win the exchange. So king h2, yes. Knight takes e4. Rook takes e4. And black survives. The white has compensation. I bet Aronian would have won this anyway, somehow. You know, he's a very strong pass pawn. So Mr. Slow was right. I mean, the bishop was bad. But now the practical chances actually favor white, even though this is probably a draw. I bet Levon would have like beaten him somehow, even if the guy had found that. He's so strong practically in this format. But rook g4 check, he just takes. Now queen takes, king h8, queen d4 check. He didn't see this last time, but same idea. f6 is beautiful. White's down a rook. Who cares? It's just a rook. Queen d2. Oh man. Mate. That's a bad bishop? Is that what you said? Poor Mr. Slow. He knows a bad bishop when he sees one. That's definitely a bad bishop. I know a bad bishop when I see a bad bishop, and that is a bad bishop. Rook f7. Bishop takes f7. Ironic. Indeed. And so here, white is merciless. And this is the kind of move that you have to find. Merciless. Be merciless. Queen d3. Black resigns. Crushing. Great game. Okay, not perfect, but still. I love the way that white played this in such a hyper-modern fashion. There was another good game Erigaisi played. Check this out quickly. I gotta go. But another, of course, the very strong Erigaisi played an interesting line, a line that I used to play, which is the English 4 knights with d4. This variation played by Botvinnik in his 100 selected games, but the move that is played as superseded Botvinnik's bishop g5 is g3. Now black plays like this Bulgarian guy, Martin Petrov. He plays like he's playing like he's a computer. He plays the computer line. But I'm not sure this is objectively the best way to play. But a very strange thing happens now, right? Okay. Black goes into like computer variation. Take. And I've had this. Freya Chess is reigning with a party of 11. Welcome. Freya, welcome. Thank you for the raid. I'm taking a quick look at just a couple games from the World Cup, and this one really struck me. This is like some computer variation. People have even played this against me. And I always suspect they're like an engine and they're cheating or something. Because it's so unnatural, you know, to go so early to try to grab a pawn while your king's still in the center. It's a very computer-like variation. But okay, Petrov is prepared, but Erigaisi's like even more prepared. So this is like a kind of unusual line too. I mean, people don't play the d4 variation too much. And so now e4. So again, Nepomniachtchi pops up. e4, and then unbelievable. Look at the guy's time, Black's time. First of all, where did his 12 minutes go? He spent 12 minutes on the first 7 moves of a very well-known variation, plays knight a5, and then on here, on e4, he spends another 6 minutes and plays knight takes e4. And I'm like, dude. Wow, this is insane. He spent 20 minutes already out of his 130 minutes, you know, or his 90 minutes. He has 90 minutes for 40 moves. The guy with Black is playing one of the strongest players in the world, and he spent 20 minutes of his time already taking the pawn on e4. This is insanely dangerous. Now, obviously, if queen e2, you just castle, you know, and white's busted. But that's clearly not white's intention. I don't know what he was expecting now, but it's extremely dangerous for Black. So watch this. Check out the preparation the guy has. No one has actually had the guts to do this. Knight takes e4. And now, bishop g2, knight back. And then, by the way, what would happen if Black were to castle here? You would just lose a piece, right? Just let me see this for a second. Castles, bishop takes. Can we pin this bishop to the king? You want to leave it till the next move. No, this is a really interesting game. I can't believe the guy played knight takes e4 against such a strong player. It just looks too dangerous. Of course, it's an important pawn. But, I'm just thinking, if Black castles, can he pin white to the king? Queen e7. I guess it's just not enough, right? Rook e8. We have no control of f5. So white can play all sorts of things. Well, maybe not all sorts of things, but still. f3 in particular. So there's no f5 and there's no d5. So you can't do it. I was thinking bishop takes queen e7, maybe. But it's still not. Let's see. Queen e7. Queen f3 is playable. Yeah, in this case, queen f3 prevents f5. No, but then he has rook e8. Let me see. Yeah, maybe this is, no, not queen f3. So this is interesting. So how do we refute castles? Bishop takes e4, queen e7. I must be missing something. We have to be missing something here. f3, f5. f3, f5. I mean, obviously we could do this. And material is like equal, and white has the two bishops. I mean, white is definitely not worse. There's a knight on a5. Black's king is open. I'm not certain that he's lost. Let's see. Looks like he's lost. Wow. It's lost. Okay, so that takes some calculation. But very bad practical play by Black, you know. He gets himself in a time hole, and then he finds, like, this line. But now, watch this. You're just entering into Erigaisi's, like, preparation now. So he takes, like, he uses almost an hour to find the only defense, only the only endgame where he's worse. Queen takes, check, king takes. And now watch this. This can't be, like, over the board. I mean, he had to have, like, analyzed this. Because you're looking at knight f5 check, and it looks okay. But this is even stronger. He plays c5. So it's like, wow. We traded queens, Look at the white bishops. It's sick. This is so strong. This bishop has range both directions. So black is... It's very hard to defend. Very, very hard to defend. The king isn't safe. He plays d5. C takes d check. C takes d. Now f5 is guarded. It looks like black's almost hanging on, right? He can even block. B7 is protected by the knight. He can even block on the e file with the bishop if he has to. Rook b1. Bishop d7. You know, it just looks like black is just about hanging on, right? Castles. And then he completely collapses. Black is still up a pawn. He's up the original pawn sack pawn. And so he blunders and just gets destroyed now. But here's the problem. You're at move 15, and you already used an hour. And now you're playing one of the strongest players in the world. And the guy has twice as much time as you. And he has the initiative. You know, this is a total disaster for black. You can't let this happen. And this is crazy, right? He plays... I mean, come on. F5? Are you serious? This looks horrible. He allows the F5 square to go, the E file. I don't know what I would do. Rook E8. Bishop A3 is scary, but that could be met by, well, maybe Knight C4. See what the engine says. Yeah, he's okay here. I would be literally like peeing myself in this position with black. And the computer says that black is okay. Wow. That's crazy. He must have been terrified. It looks so scary. Rook here. Black can hang on. So he plays this and just gets absolutely destroyed. Check. The F5 square. King D8. I'm expecting Knight F5, but trading bishops... This is best. Bishop takes c6, b takes c6, knight f5, rook e8, rook d1. Black's almost hanging on. This is crazy. Knight takes d6, rook e6, knight takes... Sorry, knight b7 check, takes. Bad bishop. Mr. Slow, it's another bad bishop. I feel bad about bad bishops. Yeah, white didn't put him away, but he still keeps this like really nagging advantage. Unbelievable. Black is still up a pawn. No, it's even now. Sorry, it's even. Both knights are hanging. C takes d5. C takes d5. Bad bishop. What is it? Bad. This is a good one. Bishop f4. Rook takes d5. Black, he's still worse. If there were no a-pawns, it would probably be a draw. It's possible it's still a draw, but he gets tortured. He gets tortured. Oh no. I actually saw this game live until a point. Where was it? Here. I saw this position after this. F4, G takes F4, G takes F4. When I think when I saw the position it was this. And I wasn't sure if white was winning. I mean, there's only 3 pawns left. The A pawn is very strong. Knights are bad at stopping rook pawns. But the black king is so good, you know. I just wasn't 100% sure black was lost. What do you guys think? That's when I came upon the game today when it was live in the morning. Knight c6, bishop d2. King looks good. Is that enough to save black? A clear pawn down with knight versus bishop. Well, the result would dictate otherwise. But I'm not certain. So the guy's down to what, his increments here? Oh my god. It's probably lost. Tough position though. What do you play? King d5, king f5, f5. He played king d5. Okay. King F2. So if King E4, the pawn is off to the races. Yeah, if so, you go outside of the square of the pawn. You got to, yeah, that's a square, right? This is a square of the pawn once it goes to A4. So this move is very tempting for black, but what does it do? You can't actually take the pawn. White is the bright color rook pawn too. So even if black sacks the knight and gets the F pawn, he's still lost because of the H pawn. Poor guy. He actually he deserves credit for making this tough. But he's gonna get Zugzwang. We walk in. Oh no. And was there any hope to draw this endgame anywhere? Like here, it feels like there's still some sort of hope. A4. Funny, the engine doesn't realize that's a great move. I don't know if black ever had a draw. Probably not, you know. Kind of a classic endgame. Here, it looks like his last chance. Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't want to go into the minor piece endgame. This is actually instructive. This moment. See, Petrov's down to 2 minutes, and Erigaisi has 12. This is like something I would do. If you played Rook B7, he can avoid that like minor piece ending. Check, King D7, Rook takes E4, Rook takes A7. This is probably a theoretical draw. Though I don't know. The rook on the side, maybe white is winning. You could play A4. Yeah, maybe it's winning. Still, I think a better practical try. Anyway, all right, guys, I'm gonna go for now. It was a good analysis session. We'll be back maybe tomorrow with some blitz. Let's play some blitz tomorrow, around noon, between noon and noon 30, noon and noon 30 tomorrow. I'll be taking challenges, 5 plus something tomorrow. My first blitz stream back in a while. Thanks for the raid from Freya Chess. Thank you guys for your gift sub, especially Mr. Slow, as always. And I like that Freya thing. She put in those sharks. That's pretty cool. I like that. They look like sharks, but they're boats. All right. Anyway, very cool. I'll see you guys later. Have a great night. Thanks for the follows and the donation.